look like they're not far behind. Here's 14. And I see 15 not far behind them. We've got 16 coming right after that. We're seeing more gray hairs here. And 17. Okay, here comes 18. And now we've got our group that has been mentoring longer than you students have been alive. We've got 19, 20, 21. Although our mentors can't count because 20's behind 21. 22, 23, 24, 25 plus. I know for a fact that Stokely and Kevin Ross have been doing this for around 27 years. Give it up for these people that give so much of their life and their time for all of you. Thank you, mentors. We could not do this without you.
Provide a warm welcome for your MC, first alumni, Evan Klein.
All right, let's see if you all remember the drill. I woke up this morning and said to myself, I am the luckiest man in the world because I get to come to the greatest event in all of First. Welcome to the 2026 First Robotics Competition and this year's game, Rebuilt, presented by Haas. Who's excited to be here? Teams, congratulations to making it to DCMPs. This is a testament to your abilities at district events, through your robot performance, through your team performance, through the awards that you received. Congratulations on making it to DCMPs. One more round of applause for all the teams that are here. This year's season, First Age, is our archaeology-inspired season. It's brought to you again by Qualcomm, who's joining us for their 20th year of supporting First programs, students like you, and teams like yours. Big round of applause for Qualcomm. I mentioned this last year, but I'm going to say it again. It's always so exciting to see Haas back for another season to support First Robotics Competition. As I'm sure a lot of you know, especially those of you on your business teams, it's quite difficult to find sponsors that want to sign up year and year and year again to support your programs. And it's just really great that FIRST has found Haas, and Haas has continued to support FIRST programs, especially FIRST Robotics competition. So a big round of applause for Haas. As many of you know, FIRST is a very large organization, but we do have our own little faction, I'll call it, of FIRST here in the Pacific Northwest. It's led by FIRST Washington. I've got a speaker who's going to come out and talk to you. I'm going to talk about Fred for a second first. So I first met Fred last year. This is his second season participating, helping us, achieve our goals and things like that. He invited me to a meeting where we talked about, the challenges that FIRST teams have and things like that. And I'm talking to him about the challenges that my team has, and Fred goes, "Evan, I really appreciate that, and we're going to work on it, but let's talk about the teams out in the middle of small towns that don't have access to the same resources you do." And it made me stop and think about what FIRST is about and what this man is trying to do to support FIRST teams, all the FIRST teams in the Washington. So please welcome to the field, FIRST Washington President, Fred Krug.
Happy day two, everyone. Evan, first of all, thank you for such a warm introduction. Evan, is true, we had a nice meal, and we'll have another one coming up. He is true, that's fair. I just wanted to just say hi. I hadn't met everybody. I've met some of the teams. I've gone out and met teams where they're building their robots. It's really exciting to see this culmination. I remember pretty clearly January 10th when I was in Everett, seeing kickoff, and 3 months later, I see what you all have done. It's really a testament to this whole group, but I wanted to say just a quick thanks. Evan, you're right, we have a small but mighty team here. If you are a staff member here, I think we have about half of our staff here, would you please stand up? Do you all mind just giving them a big round of applause, the FIRST staff? I also want to do another thank you. So all of this stuff, all the lights, this field was empty when I got here Wednesday morning. And now it is this full-blown event with people like Evan, lights. 30 volunteers are sitting here today who made this happen, along with a bunch of students who set this up. So a big round of applause for everybody who makes these things happen. So I will keep my statements brief. I do want to point out a couple things. I will be knocked if I don't. If you have not been receiving our quarterly newsletter, you should find these around here, following us on Insta and LinkedIn. There'll be some up here. Please use the QR code and join us. We've been adding this. This is where we share our stories, which is what I would ask anyone who is an alumni, who is a mentor, who is currently engaged. Please click on this and share your story. Evan, what you mentioned about us wanting to get into small towns, the way we do this is by your stories. What happened after FIRST? Because businesses and the communities don't always know. They see this, we see these events, but they don't always get to see what happens afterwards, right? And so a lot of the mentors today have been part of FIRST. A lot of our volunteers have been part of FIRST. I want to unleash those stories so it's out in the community. The more people know about the impact that FIRST had on you, the more we can share that with other businesses. We have great corporate sponsors, both at the national level and the local level. We want to add your business if they're not included. We want to make sure this community continues to grow, and it is strongest when it is connected between the companies and the young people all the way down to FLL. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. I'm excited to see day two. Day one was amazing, and I know day two and day three are going to be even more. So thank you. Have a great time. Please give yourselves a big round of applause, and let's have some fun.
Thanks again, Fred. While we're thanking people and welcoming people out here, let's go ahead and introduce our folks down here in the blue shirts. They're your judges. Please give them a big warm welcome. They've got a tough job, but thankfully they've got a fearless leader. That's Graham Bear, their judge advisor. As you know, the judges want to hear your stories, your challenges, your successes, but they really want to get to know who you are. These people are all really great individuals from great companies. I think there was a slide up a second ago about that. Use that as an opportunity to network with them and get to know who they are. Tell them about your team, but make sure to tell them about yourself too. They want to know everything, and they're going to use that to figure out what awards they want to do and how they want to help you in your future and whatever you end up doing next. In addition to the judges, other people you're going to see out here on the field, you met them yesterday, but we're going to continue to work with them today. Their job is to ensure fair play and to enforce the rules while helping you compete fairly and successfully and hopefully not break the field too much. Their ruling are final, and there will be no video reviews. Please welcome your referees, led by your head referee, Aaron Schmitz, a first alum. In addition to having fun and competing out here on the playing field, safety is a priority for first. As with that, we have 2 safety managers at this event. Please welcome Che Adoga and Jim Wright. Teams, make sure you have a safety plan and a known meeting point where you're going to meet with your team outside of the venue in the case that you need to do so. If you need help making a safety plan, either Che or Jim will be happy to help you get that done. So be sure to get a safety plan finished off. And on the note of safety, congratulations to the Safety Award animation winner, Team 8291, the Gold and Yellow Experience. We'll see their video sometime tomorrow during our playoff tournament. All right, let's talk about the Woody Flowers Award. The Woody Flowers Award is an award honoring inspiring mentors. We're going to recognize them down here on the field tomorrow, but we saw them this morning, and I do want to take a minute to give them another moment of recognition. So if all the students could give a round of applause for all their mentors. If you haven't done so already, there are shirts down in the pits by pit admin that you can have an opportunity to sign that will help people, or the winner, be able to embody Woody's signature look out here on the field and at future events. So it's a really special award, a really special memento that we're able to give to the winners of that award. So please take a moment to go down to the pits and sign that shirt if you have a moment. Next, let's talk about more of our wonderful volunteers. We have an award that we hand out. It's called the Outstanding Volunteer Award. There are so many deserving people that would be candidates for this award. I'm going to go down a very long list because there's a lot of really cool people here. So from your inspectors, your referees, your judges, your field and scoring table crew, your planning committee, the folks in the machine shop, folks in the pit admin, all the volunteers who make FIRST and organizations like this one succeed. Please clap for them. Oh, I had a pun. Let me try it again. Makes FIRST an organization to remember, right? Because it's archaeology based. Very clever. To present the first Outstanding Volunteer Award, please welcome first alum, Natalie Jansen-Schmitz.
Hello, everyone. Like Evan said, my name is Natalie Jansen-Schmitz, and I get the honor of presenting our Outstanding Volunteer Award this season. This volunteer has been involved with FIRST for 20-some years. They've been here since the very beginning. This volunteer was a staple in my first experience as a student. They were someone who is constantly showing up for students and has constantly shown up for volunteers over the past 20-some years. The past couple of years especially, this volunteer has been instrumental for identifying and helping train different key volunteers, especially our referees and our head referees. This person is responsible for at least 3, maybe 4 of our current head referee training pipeline and getting us ready to go, including myself. And so please give a warm, big round of applause to our outstanding volunteer, Nathan Lose.
One more round of applause for Nathan and all the volunteers that make this possible. All right, let's talk about the agenda for today. We've got workshops running all day. A lot of them are really great workshops put on by teams like yours. So if that's something that interests you, be sure to stop by Pit Admin. They have a full schedule of all the workshops you're able to do at this event. Additionally, we're going to do a senior photo on the field after match 55, right before lunch. And then at the end of the day, we're going to do an alumni photo on the field after match 87 before we leave for the day. We've already talked about safety, but things that I want to make sure that we highlight. Be sure to look around you and find where the nearest exits are. Make sure you know where fire extinguishers are in case we have a fire out here on the field or anywhere in the venue. There's one at the scoring table. There's some down in the pits. Make sure you know where the first aid kits are. There's one at Pit Admin as well as one back here behind me. Know where those locations are and make sure you know how to use them in the case you need to do that. Additionally, as you find yourself on the stands, maybe not so much today, but probably tomorrow during finals it gets exciting. If you find yourself sitting on a walkway, please make friends with the people next to you and make sure you get your way onto the seats. I want to make sure the exit ways are clear and we're able to get people in and out of the stands as we need to. If you see something that makes you feel uneasy, or if you have an experience that makes you feel uneasy, please report that instance or that hazard to a trusted adult. There's a lot of volunteers, as we mentioned, there's a lot of staff here that are happy to help you. So be sure to find someone that you can trust and get that message across so we can correct it or help you in whatever way we need to help you. Additionally, First cares a lot about everybody that's here. We want to make things as accessible as possible. As I'm sure you've seen, we've got closed captioning set up over there, so if that's something you need to take advantage of, please do that, and let us know if we've got anything else that we can do to help support you be as successful as possible here at the event. Now, if you are able, please stand for the national anthem. Now the important question you've all been waiting for, who's ready to play Rebuilt? Teams, let's get the robots on the field and powered up and ready for our next qualification match. Welcome back to the field. We're here for qualification match number 33. Let's meet our teams on the red side of the field. Up first, it's 70-34.
To be determined.
Joining them in the middle position is none other than 492.
Titan Robotics Club.
Rounding out your red alliance, ready to cause some chaos, it's 45-12.
Otter Chaos.
On the blue side of the field, they're ready to go. It's 20-46.
Your current rank number 1, that's Bare Metal.
Joining them in the middle position, make some noise. It's 88-96.
Wolf Tech Robotics.
Rounding out your blue side of the field, please make some noise for 955.
Control C.
welcome to qualification match number 33. Drivers behind the line in 3, 2, 1, go.
We begin the second day here at the Pacific Northwest District Championships with a race to the center of the field from 4 robots, 2 from each alliance. Bare Metal returning back for a second cycle alongside their alliance partners, Control C. The other side of the field, Titan with another full hopper and double turrets aimed at their hub and a nice volley of fuel up right at the end of the autonomous period. 132 to 52 in favor of that blue alliance. If this was one of the previous weeks, they would have already gotten the energized ranking point, but here the energized ranking point is 240. To be determined, currently looking a little bit stuck, but they do manage to free themselves or get their robot back in action, and it looks like some fuel, unfortunately, falling into their robot from the hub. Control C trying to steal as much fuel as they possibly can from that red alliance before returning it back alongside their alliance partners, 2046 Bare Metal, your current rank number 1. Some last second shots go off from the red alliance, but the blue alliance already a massive volley of shots going up and in, and there's now a 100-point difference between these two alliances. Red alliance is going to have to work extra hard here if they would like to catch up to the scoring power of the blue alliance with 1 minute and 30 seconds left in this match. Red Alliance currently trying to gather as much fuel and bring it over to their side as possible. And it looks like Leopard Tech currently non-moving on the red side of the field. We'll see if they can get themselves back under control here. Bare Metal sweeps behind the backside of that Red Alliance and steals as much fuel as he possibly can. Meanwhile, Control C in the center of the field, grabbing all of the fuel coming through that Red Alliance hub. 205 to 366 in favor of that blue alliance at the moment. Can the red alliance catch up here with just under a minute left to play? Some final shots going off from the 7034 to be determined machine before it switches over to the blue alliance. Bare Metal gathering themselves as much fuel as possible, filling that hopper and unloading that drum shooter into the hub. Control C going back for a second cycle in the middle of the field. And to be determined, zip tie flying off the field from that machine. Hopefully that wasn't from something too critical. And another massive volley of shots absolutely pummeling the blue alliance hub. And now it's endgame, signaled by that buzzer, which means that it is time for both alliances to score until the remainder of the match. 20 seconds left and a score of 584 to 300. Can the blue alliance break 600 here? Yes, they can. Question is, with 10 seconds left, what can their final score be? With another massive volley of shots going up and in, and we're now up very high for the Blue Alliance. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that might be a new PNW record. Previous high score here in the Pacific Northwest, 653, and we have your final scores. Let's take a look. As Osef on car drives away, it's the Blue Alliance. Question is, what's their final score? And 7-11! That is certainly a new Pacific Northwest record. Lots of scoring there from Bare Metal and Control C. Congratulations on that new record. We'll see if we can get closer to the world record later in this competition.
We are on captions, but I don't think we're live to the house. Welcome back to the Sports Desk, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Tiara Friday. I'm Brett. This is Josh. We're back here again with you. We'll be here throughout the day, and it's going to be a good one. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, are you awake after that?
Yeah, the lights
really got us going. You don't need caffeine anymore to wake up. Well, no. 711 points to start our morning. You know, we knew that match was going to be exciting, but I don't know if we were quite ready for that one.
Yeah, well, for those of you just joining us for the first time today, welcome. And for anybody who needs a reminder, let's take another look at our game animation.
So, just kidding. We'll come back to the Sports Desk here. You know, the robots took all the, They took all the technical prowess on that one. While
The game animation knew we just had to talk about 711 points.
You cannot skip that one. And, I think especially being able to do that first thing in the morning with your first match. Okay, maybe the game animation video is ready. Go ahead.
Let's try that one more time.
All right, well, we're back out here on the field for qualification match number 34. Let's meet the teams on the red side of the field. Up first, but trying to not fall over this time. Please welcome 3, 6.
Spin around for the Revolution.
Joining them in the middle position, it's 90-23.
Future Martians.
And rounding out your orange alliance, it's 40-61.
Cyborgs.
On the blue side of the field, please welcome 948.
NRG Newport Robotics Group.
Joining them, 25-22.
Royal Robotics.
Rounding out your blue alliance, 94-30.
C-Tech Robotics.
Qualification match number 34. For those of you just joining us online, this is the Pacific Northwest District Championship. Drivers behind the line in 3, 2, 1, go.
Qualification 34, and immediately C-Tech full hopper and returning back to the Blue Alliance zone. Meanwhile, Future Martians and Revolution unloading their hoppers that they gained from the neutral zone in that center of the field. A couple of shots going up, shooting while moving from 25-22 Royal, and they are up in the air at the end of the autonomous period. 92-82, quite a close high score there for the the autonomous period, and the flashing lights on the Red Alliance indicate that they are about to lose possession of that hub. We're now over here on the blue side of the field. Shots going in for Royal before returning back to the neutral zone. Now over on the red side of the field, stealing as much of that fuel as they possibly can. It's currently being loaded there by the Future Martians. NRG passes behind the tower with a full hopper ready to go, but they are currently being defended by Cyborgs, and right at the end of their shift, not able to get that cycle off before it switches over to the Red Alliance. Good couple of shots going up for the Revolution. Another zip tie flying off of the field here. And Future Martians also unloading their hopper on the red side of the field with just under a minute 30 left to play. 227-232 is still a very close match between these two alliances, and now it's the Blue Alliance's turn. They were down. Can they get up? Yes, they are. And there's a lot of defense happening over on the blue side of the field. 2 defensive robots, in fact, both Cyborgs and Revolution, trying to play some opportunistic defense while also stealing as much fuel as they possibly can from that Blue Alliance, who is trying to hoard that fuel so that way they can shoot it off before the end of their shift. And now it's over to the Red Alliance with just under a minute left to play. Future Martians very quickly unloading that hopper into the hub, and almost 300 points now for the Red Alliance. They're quite far behind, but can they catch up with a good couple of cycles here? Meanwhile, Royal, again, stealing some fuel from the Red Alliance, returning it back to their own alliance. Future Martians cycle up and good. Lining up is 360 right as the buzzer hits for endgame. Blue Alliance now has the chance to score an NRG, pressing themselves up against the tower to help avoid some of that defense. But a lot of that fuel, unfortunately, falling short for that Blue Alliance. 400 points now being reached by the Blue Alliance. But the Red Alliance is certainly catching up with the last couple of seconds here, 6 to be exact, and some final shots going up and in from Royal. Final shots going up and in for Future Martians. Preliminary scores 464 to 407 in favor of the Blue Alliance. And we'll get your final scores to you in just a moment. We have a thumbs up, which means we have a final score. Let's take a look at that final score up on the big screen. Ollie Behrman drives away as the Blue Alliance takes this victory 497 to 430. Your final scores, 5 ranking points being taken home by that Blue Alliance, 2 ranking points still being taken home by the Red Alliance.
Welcome to qualification match number 35. I'm on the red side of the field as always. Please welcome 32-18.
Panther Robotics.
Joining them in the middle position is 36-63.
Cedar Park Robotics, CPR.
And rounding out your Red Alliance, it's 41-25.
That one might be confidential.
On the blue side of the field, I've got 41-31.
Iron Patriots.
Joining them in the middle position, 25-21.
South Eugene Robotics team, that's CERT.
And rounding out your blue alliance, it's 15-40.
The Flaming Chickens.
Qualification match number 33. Drivers behind the line in 3, 2, 1, go.
Definitely not qualification 33. It's actually 35 here in a big race to the center of the field. And CPR parking themselves under the trench and a volley of shots going in, mirroring the actions of 1540, the Flaming Chickens on the blue side of the field. Panther just getting stuck on the bump before the end of the autonomous period. Looks like they A-stopped themselves. 82-55, your score exiting the autonomous period in favor of that blue alliance. Those white lights pulsing on the blue side of the field indicate that Flaming Chickens only have a couple seconds left here to shoot some fuel in. And now it's the Red Alliance's turn. Panther, double shooter up and in, but they are currently being defended by Iron Patriots, who also go over towards CPR. CPR still has a couple of fuel left in their robot, but they do manage to get a couple of them in, some of them going astray from that defense. And now Panther returning with another full hopper, ready to go up into that hub. And now it's the Blue Alliance's turn. Beautiful arcs from both the Flaming Chickens and CERT. CERT returning back with another full cycle of fuel. The Flaming Chickens shooting on the move behind that driver, or in front of that driver station, going behind the tower. And now, almost 200 points for that Blue Alliance. They now cross the 200-point barrier. When those lights start flickering on the Blue Alliance hub, indicate this now CPR's turn to begin shooting. Panther return with another full hopper of fuel, being pushed around currently by Iron Patriots. And now the Flaming Chickens over on the red side of the field with just over a minute left to play, stealing some fuel, shooting it back to their own alliance before returning back to the neutral zone. CERT in the middle of the field trying to push some fuel back through those trenches. And now over on the blue side, some defense being played by the Confidential Machine. Meanwhile, Panther goes and steals a full cycle from that Blue Alliance. Now Flaming Chickens having to contend with the space being occupied by Confidential. Just under 40 seconds here, almost 300 points on that Blue Alliance, 100-point gap between these two alliances. Red Alliance is going to have to work extra hard as we enter the end game here, indicated by that buzzer. Now the Flaming Chickens over on the red side of the field, trying to slow down the cycles of the CPR machine, trying to get through that trench, but being blocked by the Red Alliance, Panther Robotics, who now has to contend with space from Iron Patriots. Plural. 8 seconds left in this match, and some final shots going in from the Flaming Chickens. Final shots going in from CPR, and that buzzer indicates that that is the end of the match. Preliminary scores, 355 to 235. And we have a thumbs up, which means it's time to look at your final score here. You look over the big screen, and it's the Blue Alliance who takes this win. Final score of 367 to 246. Flaming Chickens moving their way up into rank number 6 with a nice haul of 5 ranking points. Red Alliance, of course, still taking home 1 ranking point from that energized RP.
Thanks, Jake. Up here at the sports desk, you know, I love, especially in my own GA work and in sports desk work, I love calling out the weird deviations in strategy and hardware design that happen. Is this just my inner hipster being like, no, I want the things that are not mainstream? Probably, but that's not the point. One of the strategies I've called out a bunch this year is the teams that decide to roll over fuel and fire it kind of on demand, right? Like just in time versus loading up the hopper or some of the other strategies we've seen. Brett, you had a bunch of cool insights you were talking about during the match that you wanted to dig into. Tell me about that one.
Yeah, we call this kind of the move and shoot strategy, or the shoot on the move strategy. And what we're going to show in our match highlight right now, we're going to focus on 1540, the Flaming Chickens. You're going to see them right here. And what you'll notice before we start this going is that they are about to go off shift. Their hub is lit right now, but in 1 second that hub is going to go away, and it's going to be the Red Alliance's turn to score. Let's roll this forward. And what you'll see here is here come the chickens coming, making their way through, and they are using that move and shoot off shift to just a constant stream of stealing fuel back towards their alliance's wall. They're over in the Red Alliance zone, picking up fuel and sending it back as they are moving around. And then, as they get towards the end of that shift, they turn off the move and shoot, they park in position, and they get ready to shoot and score when their hub goes active. So great awareness of the clock, great ability to recognize that they've got the ability to not only gather fuel for themselves, but take it away from their opponents, and utilizing that mechanism not just for scoring, but for alternative purposes as well. It's always great when you can see teams design a robot that has components that don't just serve a single purpose.
Yeah, and I think this is a little bit of a new evolution we're seeing at the district champs level of like the best offense is a great defense. Well, this is still an all offense game. Like at its core, this game is all about how many fuel can you make go somewhere. We've just redefined the somewhere this week in a lot of fascinating ways.
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting things that's going to continue to evolve through this event and into the championships is a couple weeks is we started the season, there's 504 fuel on the field. And we started the season saying, that's so
many.
much. Yeah,
How are we
we're
ever
never
use
going to be
that?
a problem. And now here we are, week 6.
Eating our hats.
Fuel scarcities might become a thing as we start to see the event move on. So something for us to keep an eye on as teams continue to play.
It'll be exciting stuff. We're looking forward to it, but I think we've got, speaking of 504 fuel, a bunch of that still to reset. So we'll get ready. We'll be back in a minute.
Let's meet the teams for qualification match number 36. In the first red position, please welcome 2412.
That's the Robotoads.
Joining them, it's 1294.
Pack of parts.
And rounding out your red alliance, it is none other than 2976.
The Sparta Bots.
On the blue side of the field, I'm going to keep my distance because it might smell. It's 1983.
Skunkworks Robotics.
Joining them in the middle position, 5468.
Chaos Theory.
Rounding out your blue alliance, 5937.
MI Robotics.
Qualification match number 36. Drivers behind the line in 3, 2, 1, go.
We begin this qualification match with 54-68 Chaos Theory, full hopper very quickly in the center of the field alongside their alliance partners, MI Robotics. A couple of missed shots from Chaos Theory before their turret locks in, and Robototes on the red side of the field have already emptied their hopper. MI have returned back for a second cycle, and now Chaos Theory has done the same. Currently, Spartabots on the red side of the field not moving. Looks like they were A-stopped at the end of the match, but they now step forward and take control of that robot. And Pack of Parts trying to push some fuel across the field, though it looks like potentially their intake not functional. Speaking of not functional intakes, Skunkworks, looks like their hopper hanging off the front of their robot. They are still able to shoot a couple pieces of fuel over to their side of the field, and now that hopper falls off and is left stranded in the center of the field. Little love tap by the Chaos Theory machine. 102-74 in favor of the Blue Alliance at the moment, and that Blue Alliance now has the turn to shoot some fuel up into that hub. Shots going up and in from MI Robotics, shots going up and in from Skunkworks, who now beaches themselves but manages to also free themselves in the neutral zone. Chaos Theory loading up a full hopper and shooting it up into that Blue Alliance hub. The Red Alliance over on the blue side of the field trying to play some defense. That's Pack of Parts. And now the Red Alliance has a chance. Robototes shooting on the move towards their driver station. But MI has something to say about that. They steal most of the fuel that Robototes were planning on grabbing and shooting into their hub. MI shooting that fuel instead over to the Blue Alliance for their own scoring purposes. Just under a minute left to play, and flickering lights on the Red Alliance indicates it's time to go over to the Blue Alliance. Skunkworks currently having to contend for field space with Pack of Parts, and Pack of Parts now switching over to the Chaos Theory machine. Chaos Theory doesn't really care though, and they shoot a big volley of fuel up into that Blue Alliance hub. 260-129 in favor of that Blue Alliance at the moment. Red Alliance is going to have to do some work here if they would like to catch up to the scoring potential of the Blue Alliance with just under 30 seconds left in this match. Some shots going in from Chaos Theory, and MI Robotics join them as well. Pack of Parts not moving, but they do regain control of their robot. 15 seconds left. Robototes full hopper of fuel and shooting up into that hub. Spartabots trying to grab some fuel or push it through to their human players who have a chance to throw that fuel into the hub with just a couple seconds left here. And that's the end of the match. Preliminary scores 355-175. We'll see if the Blue Alliance was able to get that supercharged RP. Of course, fuel going through at the very end, not shown on the final score, but counted. And we have your final results here. Let's take a look up at that big screen. It's the Blue Alliance who takes home this win. Did get that 5 RP, 364-191, and just 4 ranking points for that Blue Alliance. Very, very close there to getting that ranking point. Unfortunately for the Red Alliance, no ranking points to take home for them. Chaos Theory holding themselves at rank number 9, just underneath the picking positions.
Thanks, Jake. And our leaderboard, a really exciting one already here at Northwest District Champs. Going into that match, just some quick numbers before we dig into the details. Our number 1 and 2 rank positions were just solid outright number 1 and 2. Then we had a 5-way tie for 3rd, and then a 3-way tie for 9th, and then a scattering of individual ranks before just a ton of teams tied for 16th and 20th, respectively. Brett, that tells me this is, as usual for Northwest District Champs, an extremely tight field of very evenly matched competitors.
Yeah, I do want to bring up the rankings here and just spend a little bit of time on that. You mentioned, Josh, number 1 and number 2 here, that's Bare Metal and Jack in the Bot. They're a little bit clear of the pack, and keep in mind, this 5 RP, that is the way the game is currently being played, functionally perfect. Nobody's working on that traversal RP. We've seen very few robots even attempt to climb. I don't know we've had a single match where we've seen 2 robots even attempt to climb. So that 6th RP kind of out of play at this event, it seems like. So 5's about the top of the line.
And I can give you some color on those ones. It looks like, Bare Metal actually secure right now in their number 1 spot as long as they can keep getting 5 RP a match, which, given their point output, we've seen that seems likely. Interestingly, though, Jack only needs 3 of 6 RP. They just have to win the match, it looks like, based on the current math, to hold on to the number 2 spot. So that's your separation, it looks like.
Yeah, and that's that difference here between the 4.75, which is picking up that 5th ranking point most of the time, and the 4, which is picking up that 5th ranking point not very often. And so we're going to see that supercharged ranking point, that 360 fuel in the hub during a match really come into play as we move throughout. And that's going to be the difference, not so much down here in the, you mentioned here's 3 through functionally 9 that are in that 4 range.
More or less.
If I scroll up a little bit, here's another whole clump that are 3 and above. So like that's all gonna be around, do you get the energized RP or not? And remember, the energized RP threshold was raised for district championships from 100 to 240, and we're still seeing it hit a decent amount of the time. I can pull that number up. I believe the energized RP is being hit 70% of the time, even at that higher threshold. So really good there. Supercharged RP is being hit 34% of the time so far at this event, and that's gonna be the difference between having your pick when Alliance selection comes, being a captain, but maybe being a lower seeded captain, or being at the mercy of those on the field to see if you can make the playoffs.
And I think it's going to be really interesting with how tight the leaderboard is right now to see, will we have traditionally Alliance captains in getting picked positions, right? Just because they missed, 3 fuel here or there, 5 fuel here or there. Like these matches, tightly competitive. And we are, 35% of the way through. The percentages are so easy this year. They made it easy on me.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep an eye on that as the week moves on. We'll send it back down to the field. Match 37 coming up in just a tick.
All right, we're here for qualification match number 37. If you were watching the little dance that was happening on the field here before we started, my good friends Josh and Brett will talk about that at the conclusion of this match. It's pretty interesting technique to see out here on the field. With that, let's go ahead and meet the teams. Please welcome 10079.
Aerodynamics.
Joining them in the middle position, it's 4450.
Olympia Robotics Federation.
And rounding out your Red Alliance is 2926.
That's the RoboSparks.
Friends up there in the top, I see you. It doesn't count if my GA can't hear you. So, what time is it? I'll give it to him.
Sorry. That's Team Xbot.
In the middle position, 753.
The High Desert Droids.
Rounding out your Blue Alliance, 4915.
Spartronics.
Welcome to qualification match number 37. Drivers behind the line in 3, 2, 1, go.
We begin qualification 37 with a quick dash to the center of the field from Olympia Robotics Federation, and a lot of shots going up from that triple shooter on the red side of the field. Blue Alliance matching with some good shots of their own from both 753 High Desert Droids and their alliance partner Spartronics. Xbot trying to slide through the trench just at the end of the autonomous period, 57 to 85 in favor of that Red Alliance, which means that the Red Alliance is going to have to say goodbye to their hub in just a couple of seconds here. Blue Alliance, on the other hand, able to continue cycling fuel for the next 20 seconds or so. In the middle of the field, Spartronics and High Desert Droids trying to contest for the same space despite being on the same alliance. Olympia, in the middle of the field, also trying to grab some fuel, being gobbled up as the Blue Alliance High Desert Droids shoot some extra fuel into that hub, and some very high arcing shots from the Blue Alliance. That's Xbot. And over on the red side of the field, it's now Red Alliance's turn to shoot. Very full hopper from the Olympia machine. And over on that red side of the field, some stealing strats happening from Spartronics. They go and grab some fuel from the Red Alliance before returning back to the neutral zone, grabbing some more fuel and returning it over to the blue side of the field. And Xbot just getting a little bit surfing on that piece of fuel, but they do manage to free themselves. And some shots going up and in from Spartronics, shots going up and in from Xbot. Now High Desert Droids have a full cycle ready to go, lining up, but they are currently being defended by RoboSparks over on that blue side of the field with just over a minute left to play. Volley of shots go in for 2 out of the 3 Blue Alliance robots, and that flashing indicates it's now the Red Alliance's turn. Olympia lining up with the Red Alliance hub. Full hopper up and in. RoboSparks trying to line up, but their shooter just now starting to fire off that fuel into that hub. Olympia back behind the tower where they give a little kiss, a little smooch to Team Xbot behind that tower there. Both of them trying to grab that fuel as we enter the endgame period. And unfortunately, it was like RoboSparks, RSL not active on that red side of the field. Will they be able to get themselves reconnected and moving again here? Volley of shots up and in from Aerodynamics on that red side of the field with just over 10 seconds, 2:33 to 3:14. Almost a 100-point difference between these two alliances. 5 seconds left and some last-second shots going up for 44-50. That buzzer signals that's the end of the match. Preliminary scores, 351 to 243. Currently waiting on thumbs up from our referees. Get your final scores to you in just a moment here. final score of 365 to 246. 4 ranking points for that Blue Alliance. Spartronics holding themselves in rank number 7. Meanwhile, Red Alliance still taking home 1 ranking point from that energized RP.
Well, Josh, something we don't see very often at the beginning of that match, we had an ordered placement. And actually, we had kind of an
Asterisk.
informal ordered placement. I want to shout out 49-15 and 10K-79 for kind of handling it themselves there, realizing they were having this back and forth. And rather than getting the referees involved, they were just like, look, let's do a little rock, paper, scissors. Let's figure out who's going to get what they want.
Self-governance.
Yeah, but I do want to go to the highlight and see why this was a big deal. So what you're looking at here is the top of your screen. That's going to be 49-15 Spartronics. That's going to be 10,079 Aerodynamics. You'll notice they are lined up opposite each other. Watch what happens when we roll this forward. So Aerodynamics going to get there first, and then here comes Spartronics into the same area. And what I suspect is that they knew, based on scouting their autonomous routines, that they were both going to be headed for the same part of that neutral zone. And there was going to be a potential collision, a disruption, perhaps damage to the robot. And so they were both trying to say, how can we run an auto routine that will get us something we want and not run into our opponents? And so 49-15, again, we didn't get a chance to talk to them, so I'm speculating a little bit here. The fact that there was that delay in their motion may have been a response to that ordered placement and them realizing that if they ran right away, they were going to have that collision. So let's just hang back just a second and then go.
Yeah, frees up a lot of space, especially that neutral zone we've seen really hotly contested in most of our matches this year. I definitely love, okay, so first of all, we have our angle of cooperation in general in FRC, but I like the, if you will, like anarchy approach to handling this, especially because, so like Juan, our FTA yesterday, brought over this paper, and it's like this long, the entire thing of here's the formal process, here's the legalese for ordered placement, and they went, yeah, no, ain't nobody got time for that. We're gonna handle this ourselves. So shout out to that, appreciated it. And, I think it worked out for the Blue Alliance. I don't know which one of them even won the rock, paper, scissors. We kind of looked up and went, oh, that's happening. But clearly something went well, and them having that second autonomous ready so that they could do the delayed start paid out for them.
Yeah, and we should be clear, we're speculating a little bit because we didn't get a chance to talk to the teams after the match. We'll maybe see if we can track that down. But I want to call out something that you mentioned very quickly. The cooperation aspect here, the fact that in a lot of other competitive environments, you'd have these two teams, they're up against each other, they both want to get a resource that's available on the field, and there, you could have just seen a stalemate, you could have seen
burning motors,
going over to our head referee saying like, look, you got to solve this for us. But these gracious and professional high schoolers, they got together, you said, all right, look, we got to get this done. How about one round of rock, paper, scissors, whoever wins get what we want, and we move on. And you saw it if you were looking down at the field. They lined up, they did it, boom, and we both go our separate ways and we play our match. No complaining, no negotiating, we're gonna go about our business. So super hats off to 49-15 and 10,079 for making that work. We've got, sounds like we've got we're ready to go. So let's send it back down to the field and welcome back Natalie Jansen-Schmitz.
All right, let's go ahead and welcome our Red Alliance to the field, starting with team 3674.
If you're feeling lucky, that's the Cloverbots.
They are joined by team 2046.
Bare Metal.
And rounding out the red side, give it up for 4512.
Otter Chaos.
On the Blue Alliance, we have team 8051.
Tank Rex.
They are joined in the middle by 10991.
Pyobites.
And rounding out the blue half, give it up for team 9450.
Velocity Raptors.
Before we kick off this match, let's give our field reset crew a big round of applause. They are led by Ayla, who is probably off fixing other things. We were clapping for you and your hard work. Drivers behind the lines, we are getting started in 3, 2, 1, go!
Qualification 38, and Bare Metal beating Velocity Raptors in the middle of the field with a little bit of a race there. Bare Metal unloading that hopper very, very quickly for that Red Alliance before returning back to the center of the field alongside their Alliance partners, Cloverbots, to grab as much fuel as they possibly can coming out of that Red Alliance hub. Meanwhile, Velocity Raptors lining up on that Blue Alliance. They are up in the air right at the end of the autonomous period. 123 to 67 in favor of the Red Alliance as we exit the autonomous period and drivers step forward and take control. Bare Metal getting one last volley of fuel off into that hub before we go over to the blue side of the field where Velocity Raptors has a little bit of fuel saved up and they start shooting that into the hub. Currently being defended by Otter Chaos, causing some chaos over on the blue side of the field. But Velocity Raptors don't seem super phased. They continue to shoot rather unaffected into that Blue Alliance hub. Flashing lights on the Blue Alliance indicate it's time for the Red Alliance to shoot. Bare Metal ready on the draw with a full hopper already unloaded and in. Their Alliance partners, Cloverbots, also grabbing some fuel by the driver station. Both of those robots eating all that fuel on the red side of the field rather quickly with just under a minute 30 left to play. Another volley of shots going up and in for Cloverbots. Bare Metal lining up with some of their own. 330 for that Red Alliance. And now it's the Blue Alliance's turn, currently with a score of 130. 200-point difference between these two alliances. And Bare Metal really wants to make sure that that gap just gets wider, trying to grab as much fuel as they possibly can from that Blue Alliance and feeding it over to their own side of the field. Meanwhile, their Alliance partners, Cloverbots, grabbing all that fuel in the neutral zone. And it's now the Red Alliance's turn with 50 seconds left to play. Lots of shots going up and in for Bare Metal. That drum shooter, one of the most effective shooters that I've seen in the Pacific Northwest. And over on the blue side of the field, they look like they're trying to grab some fuel in preparation for the end game period. Almost 500 points for that Red Alliance as we enter that end game. And some shots going up and in for that Blue Alliance. Meanwhile, it looks like Bare Metal has gotten themselves beached on the red side of the field. Can Cloverbots free them? Yes, they can. Looks like a piece of debris coming off of that Bare Metal machine. And with just under 10 seconds here, Blue Alliance getting some shots up and over. Unfortunately, it looks like Pyobite's just missing a load of fuel into that hub, and those flashing lights indicate that it's now the end of the match. Preliminary scores 568 to 206. Just waiting on a thumbs up here. We have that thumbs up, which means that we have a final score. Let's put that final score up on the big screen. And it is the Red Alliance. The final score of 595 to 217. 5 ranking points. Once again, the standard for Bare Metal at this point, being taken home by that Red Alliance. Bare Metal holding themselves still in rank number 1. Unfortunately for the Blue Alliance, no ranking points for the taking.
it is that time again to welcome our next set of teams to the field, starting on the red half of the field. Make some noise for team 7034.
It's crazy that they still haven't figured out who they are. It's still to be determined.
In the middle spot, we've got team 2471.
Team Mean Machine.
And we've got a storm brewing with team 2811.
That's the Stormbots.
On the blue side of the carpet, give it up for team 492.
Titan Robotics Club.
In the middle, it's team 1778.
Chill, chill, chill.
And rounding out the blue side, we've got team 1318.
Issaquah Robotics Society, IRS.
Drivers behind the lines, we're getting started in 3, 2, 1, go!
We begin qualification 39 with a little bit of a collision between Red Alliance robots. Mean Machine with a full hopper shooting that fuel up into that hub. Their alliance partner is to be determined, shooting as well. Mean Machine seems like they've gotten their spin dexer all figured out. Now they are nice and reliable on that red side of the field. We exit the autonomous period 74 to 61 in favor of that Red Alliance, which means it's time for the Red Alliance to say goodbye to their hub in just a couple of seconds here. Meanwhile, on the blue side of the field, they are ready to go. Lots of shots going up and in for Titan and Chill Out. IRS joining them on that blue side of the field, but potentially a little bit of a jam in their robot. Can they get it unjammed? Yes, they do. And a full volley of fuel up into that hub. Scores at the moment 111 to 98 in favor of that Blue Alliance, but those flashing lights on that hub indicate it's time to go over to the red side of the field where Mean Machine unloads their full hopper and continues shooting on the move to grab some more fuel. Some of that fuel going crazily off of the side of the field over here. Meanwhile, IRS trying to steal some fuel from the Red Alliance. They're doing a pretty good job of it before returning back to the neutral zone. Nope, they go back for another little grab of fuel as it is time to go over to this blue side of the field. Shots up and in for Chill Out. Shots up and in for Titan. And now, Red Alliance looks like 70-34 to be determined, potentially having gotten themselves stuck on that trench. Can their alliance partners, Mean Machine, free them? Or will Mean Machine go back to their own side of the field? They do decide to go back and shoot some of that fuel over to their side. It's now the Red Alliance's turn with just under a minute left to play. Some good fuel defense happening from that Blue Alliance. They gobbled up all of that fuel that Mean Machine wanted to score. And now Chill Out returns back to their side of the field with a full hopper of fuel. IRS shot back a good amount over to that blue side of the field before returning back with a hopper of their own. We're now entering the end game, indicated by this buzzer right here. and lots of shots going up and in for that Blue Alliance. 70 points up on the Red Alliance at the moment. Red Alliance trying to play some defense over on the blue side of the field. That's Stormbots. We've been seeing a lot of great defense by the Stormbots through this event. Stormbots currently taking all 3 robots on all at the same time, and currently none of those blue robots able to shoot. Meanwhile, unfortunately, contacting that Blue Alliance robot, that's Titan, while they're trying to climb. Referees going crazy over that one. We'll see how that affects the final score. 385 to 246 in favor of the Blue Alliance at the moment. I suspect that score will change quite a bit here. We'll let the referees talk about it, and we'll be back to you with the final score. We now have that final score. Let's throw it up on the big screen. Your winners from this match, the Blue Alliance, with a final score of 404 to 246. And 4 ranking points being taken home by that Blue Alliance. 1 ranking point being taken home by the Red Alliance. 65 points in penalties going over to that Blue Alliance for that contact in the end game.
Josh, a lot of fun watching that match, and you know, I want to spend just a few minutes talking about one of the storylines that's happened throughout the season. Let's call out Team 1778, Chill Out. They came in to this event just barely squeaking by. They were gritting their teeth through the Auburn event to see if they were going to make it to district championships. According to our 43rd out of the 50 teams that qualify. The cutoff for district championships was 60 district points. Chill Out came in with 62. So just barely able to get here. They're now ranked 14th, just outside of Alliance captain position. And if you take a look at our EPA graph over time here from our friends at Robotics, I want to call out the shape here. Chill Out, a little bit of a rough time at Glacier Peak, at kind of their home event. Things not going quite as well as they planned, but we talked a little bit about this with some other teams yesterday. They didn't collapse, they didn't panic. They came back 2 weeks later at Auburn, and you see this up, and then here they are near the top at the district championship. And if you look overall in their ranking, they put themselves at number 15 for EPA rankings in the Pacific Northwest. And you saw that in their leadership on the field for that event, leading their alliance to that big win, 4 ranking points. So just another great story of growth throughout the season and showing us how it's not one event, it's not 2 events, it's a whole season. And it's really, we were talking about this last night at dinner, one of the great things about the district model, the chance you get the opportunity to play again and improve and evolve.
Yeah, I mean, with the 2 district plays and, of course, you know, the long gone bag and tag days, now you have all the time to rebuild your robot, right? We get to see more of those stories. A graph like that can sometimes be a little misleading, right? We don't want to imply like every graph like that is like, oh, everybody's, you know, off the charts. You're going to likely improve as the weeks go on, but that was a case of super linear growth, right? That was not just raising to the challenge of the week. That's raising to the challenge of we had to probably rebuild some mechanisms on the robot. I don't know, but I'm going to guess, right? Had to refine some code, had to do whatever, and they nailed it, and they've nailed it consistently across their matches. Like that's the biggest thing at district champs for me, and we harp on this every year, is having 1 or 2 great matches is one thing. Consistent great matches is how you end up 15th in the district on EPA.
Yeah, we hear Chill Out in the stands, propping themselves up. Nice job, you all. And we're looking forward to seeing what you do the rest of the event. We'll be back with our next match in just a moment.
All right, everyone, I need your help out meeting the teams this time on the red side of the field. Give it up for 44.
Shockwave.
They are joined by team 8248.
Chain Links.
And we have, with their new Reblitz built robot, it's Team 2910.
The reigning world champions, that's Jack in the Bot.
Over on the blue side of the carpet, currently sitting in the number 5 spot. Give it up for Team 4469.
Raider Artificial Intelligence Division, Raid.
In the middle, we've got Team 948.
NRG, that's the Newport Robotics Group.
And make some noise for 2374.
Jesuit Robotics.
Drivers behind the lines. Match 40 getting started in 3, 2, 1, go.
We're now 40% of the way through this 2026 Pacific Northwest District Championships. And Jack in the Bot, beautiful cycle going up into that hub alongside their alliance partners, 4488 Shockwave. Chainlinks look like they have their climber deployed, but not going for the climb here at the end of the autonomous period. Scores coming out of Auto 94 to 82 in favor of that Blue Alliance at the moment. White lights on that Blue Alliance indicates that it's time to go over to the red side of the field. And currently on the red side of the field, 2 out of 3 robots beached. Can Jack in the Bot free their alliance partners? Yes, they can. And now 4488 Shockwave getting stuck on the trench, lifting it up. They return back to try to free the Chain Links. And Chain Links also now freed for that red alliance. Lots of shots going up and in from Jack in the Bot. Flashing lights on the hub indicates it's time to go over to the blue side of the field. Lots of shots being pre-fired by that Blue Alliance. NRG, a good volley of shots. Their alliance partners, Raid, also a good volley of shots with that triple wide shooter. And in the middle of the field, Jack in the Bot and Shockwave eating up as much fuel as they possibly can, coming out of that Blue Alliance hub. And Chain Links on the red side of the field firing, but their hub is inactive. Lots of motion over here on the red side of the field. The Jesuit tries to slow down the cycles of that Jack in the Bot machine. Currently 186 to 300 in favor of that Blue Alliance. The Blue Alliance can take home this win. This will definitely be a little bit of an upset for them. And some shots going up and in for Chain Links on the red side of the field. A good volley of shots, shotgunning out of that 2910 machine. And now it's the Blue Alliance's turn. Now over 100-point gap between these two alliances. And over on the blue side of the field, Chain Links stealing some fuel from that Blue Alliance. Blue Alliance currently not shooting any fuel up into that hub. NRG gonna line up and make a change there as we enter the end game period. And over on the red side of the field, lots of defense being played by Jesuit on Jack in the Bot. Meanwhile, Chain Links lining up against that tower and shooting a volley of fuel up into that hub. And another bunch of fuel going in from that Jack in the Bot machine. Red Alliance currently closing that gap to the Blue Alliance. Can the Blue Alliance stay ahead and take this upset here with just 8 seconds left to play? Lots of shots going in for that Blue Alliance. Can they hold out to the end? It looks like it. Currently waiting on our thumbs up for a final score. We don't have that final score, but we will have it in just a moment. we have your final scores now. Let's take a look at those final scores up on the big screen. And it's the Blue Alliance who's going to take home this win, 468 to 393. A notable upset there. And now Raid moving themselves up into rank number 2, having stolen that spot from 2910 Jack in the Bot, who now moves down to rank number 3. Red Alliance still taking home 2 ranking points from this match. Blue Alliance, of course, taking home the full 5.
Well, that's an exciting one, and as we talk about the dense leaderboard in this one, in our calculations, Jack just needed 3 RP to hold on to that number 2 rank position, but without that, they fall into the gazillion way, that's a technical term, y'all, SI unit right there, tie for 3rd place. 4.0 ranking points, and that is now a split across so many teams. I guess 4.2, they're just above the 4 bubble, so I correct myself there. Then the gazillion way tie for 4th.
Yeah, let's not make this about the team that fell too much, though. Let's also shout out 4469 working their way up to 2nd position there, hanging on just behind Bare Metal. Of course, 2046 is going to be hard to catch, but outstanding work by that Red Alliance, or that Blue Alliance, excuse me, led by 4469 and their alliance partners there. But we've seen this, we talked about this a little before, the rankings starting to tighten up a little bit, and it's one of these things where in the early days of FRC, when we had these ranking point bonuses get added, we saw some games where really you could just focus on the bonuses and the win-losses were sometimes incidental. But now that we've gone to this 6 ranking point model and it's 3 for the win, and especially in a world where, as we talked about before, that 3rd bonus ranking point is basically irrelevant at this particular event. Nobody's going for it. Wins and losses are going to be huge the rest of the way, and to go with a little bit of the meta strategy, making sure your whole alliance is working together there is going to be a big part of that. Looks like we're ready to go with our next match, so we'll send it back down to Natalie.
Over on the Red Alliance, let's welcome our team, starting with 1425.
Error code 0.
In their 2nd season, it's team 10416.
That's the Radical Raccoons, my dudes.
And then currently sitting in the 4th spot, it's team 4089.
I don't see them anywhere on the field. It's because they're stealth robotics.
On the Blue Alliance, every single team behind the glass has been around for at least 25 seasons, starting with team 360.
The Revolution.
Sitting in the number 3 spot, give it up for 955.
Control C.
And we've got their partners 997.
Spartan Robotics.
Drivers behind the lines, we are getting started in 3, 2, 1, go.
We began at qualification 41. I was about to say 49. This is definitely not 49. With a very quick race to the center of the field from both alliances. Lots of fuel going up from all the robots on the field at the moment. 360 the Revolution returning back for a 2nd cycle in the middle of the field alongside their alliance partners Control C. Across the field, 1425 Error Code 0 unloading their hopper. And now we exit the autonomous period 102 to 63 in favor of that Blue Alliance. Blue Alliance, of course, winning the autonomous period means those white lights are telling us that it's time to say goodbye to the Blue Alliance hub. Control C getting some last-second shots. And over on the red side of the field, Spartan Robotics playing some defense on the Red Alliance, backing away before getting any pinning penalties and start stealing some fuel from that Red Alliance. Meanwhile, Error Code 0 trying to grab some fuel in the corner of the field, but Spartan Robotics is going to be a little bit of a pain in their bumpers. Error Code 0 still managing to get some shots even while some defense is being played on them. And now it's the Blue Alliance's turn to shoot. Revolution, full hopper going up and in to that hub. Control C currently contending with some defense from Stealth on that blue side of the field. Still able to get a couple of those shots up and in with just a minute 30 left to play. last second shots going up here before the Blue Alliance says goodbye to their hub. And now it's the Red Alliance's turn, although the Red Alliance currently look like they may be out of motion here. Not ready to shoot. Error Code 0 does manage to get their hopper up and off eventually, though. Meanwhile, Radical Raccoons in the middle of the field trying to grab some extra fuel that's piled up behind that Red Alliance hub. Control C, the full hopper, returning back to the blue side of the field, but Stealth Robotics is going to try to make their motion back into the field a little bit tricky. They do manage to get some shots up and off, though, as they pin themselves against the tower. Blue Alliance, Spartan Robotics, moving around these defense bots and trying to get themselves some fuel up and into that hub. Lots of defense happening on this blue side of the field. Red Alliance desperately trying to slow down the cycles of 955 Control C. Meanwhile, Revolution unaffected by the defense, shooting off their entire cycle in just a couple seconds. We're now in the end game here, 385-208 in favor of that Blue Alliance. Red Alliance is going to have to work extra hard here in the end game to beat these two Corvallis machines and the Revolution. 15 seconds left here, and Error Code 0 full cycle up and in for that Red Alliance. Radical Raccoons, the massive hopper up and into that hub. They line up alongside Error Code 0 with just 3 seconds left. Meanwhile, Blue Alliance also gets some last second shots up and in. 431-281, your preliminary scores here. And we have those final scores. We're going to get entered into our system, and let's take a look up at the big screen as the awesome car drives away. It's the Blue Alliance who's going to take home this victory here. 302 in favor of that Red Alliance. And now the cheers of the crowd indicate that 955 Control C has moved up into rank number 2 for that Blue Alliance. 5 ranking points being taken home by that Blue Alliance. 1 ranking point being taken home by the Red Alliance. 332 points in fuel in the teleoperated period.
Seen more shakeups in the rankings there, Josh. 955, our new number 2 seed. 4469 down to 3, 2910 down to 4, and that's going to continue to happen throughout the weekend. But, you know, before we without digging too much into other things, we want to call out that we're trying up here telling stories about the teams we see on the field, and we would love to hear from you teams about your stories. So we're going to put up here on the screen, we have set up a form for you to fill out. We've got a QR code here, or URL. We would love if teams could fill this out, tell us a little bit about your team, your robot, your achievements, your capabilities, your strategy, and we will do our best to share some of that up here at the sports desk as we go throughout the day and into tomorrow. This will be up live all weekend long, so you can fill it out when you get the chance and tell us what we can tell you about everything great that you're doing. We'll be back a little bit later.
All right, Robot fans, let's meet our teams. On the red side, we've got 6696.
Cardinal Dynamics.
In the middle spot, it's 1595.
That's the Dragons.
And we have team 3218.
Panther Robotics.
On the blue half of the field, give it up for team 957.
South and West Albany Robotics Maniacs Swarm.
They are joined by team 8896.
Wolf Tech Robotics.
And keep that noise coming for 1294.
Pack of Parts.
With a safe field and a ready volunteer crew, we can get started. Drivers behind the lines. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Qualification number 42, and Cardinal Dynamics just beating Swarm out to the race in the middle of the field. Meanwhile, a lot of shots going way over the driver station from the Panther machine on that red side of the field. Cardinal swoops in for another cycle before lining up with their turret and shooting that cycle up into that hub. Meanwhile, Swarm getting some last-second shots on the blue side of the field. 57-49 in favor of that Red Alliance, which means those flashing lights will start going on that Red Alliance hub, telling those drivers that they have just a couple seconds left here to shoot that fuel before they lose possession of their hub. Blue side of the field, some shots going up and in from Swarm. Sorry, Swarm hadn't actually made it over to that side of the field. Meanwhile, Pack of Parts with a full hopper lining up against that tower, trying to shoot that fuel up into the hub. They do manage to get some shots up and in, some just falling short though, and Swarm lining up with another volley of shots for the Blue Alliance. And now it's the Red Alliance's turn. Meanwhile, looks like Wolf Tech just having missed the punch on trying to get in between Cardinal Dynamics, that deadly accurate turret shooter on the red side of the field, and the fuel that they were trying to go for. Currently, Cardinal very uncontested at the moment for all of that fuel, and they look like they just hit the depot in just the right way, where they have currently stopped motion. We'll see if they can get their robot back under control in just a second here. And it's the Blue Alliance's turn. Pack of Parts, volley of shots up and in. Swarm doing the same before returning back towards their driver station to grab some extra fuel to load into that hub. Minute left to play here, 206-139 in favor of the Red Alliance at the moment. Although currently the Cardinal machine is still stuck in that same spot. Can they get themselves freed and moving? Meanwhile, their alliance partners, the Dragons, doing a little bit of surfing on the fuel in the middle of the field before going and playing some opportunistic defense against the 957 Swarm machine. Swarm looks like they've got a little bit of a jam inside of their hopper, but they do manage to get that freed. And now the Dragons over in the middle of the field, trying to grab some last-second fuel here alongside Panther before the end game period begins. And now that end game period has begun, and a volley of shots up and in from Panther Sorry, not Panther, Pack of Parts on the blue side of the field. Now Dragons over on that blue side trying to slow down the cycles of Pack of Parts with just over 10 seconds here, 249 to 174. Pretty big gap here between these two alliances. The moment Blue Alliance is going to have to work extra hard if they'd like to keep up here with just a couple of seconds left in this match. A couple of last second shots going in for the Panther machine. Gonna wait on our head referee and a thumbs up. I'll have your final scores to you in just a moment. We have a final score for you. Let's take a look at that big screen. It's the Red Alliance who takes home this victory. The final score of 270 to 194. 4 ranking points going home to that Red Alliance. Cardinal Dynamics holding themselves in rank number 8 for that Red Alliance. And unfortunately for that Blue Alliance, no ranking points to take home.
Let's get started welcoming our teams to the field. On the red side, we've got 9450.
That's the Velocity Raptors.
They are joined by Team 9430.
C-Tech Robotics.
And keep it quiet, it's Team 4125.
They are Confidential.
On the Blue Alliance, please welcome to the field Team 4061.
That's the Cyborgs.
They are joined by Team 8051.
Tinkrex.
And we've got none other than 5468.
That's Chaos Fury.
Drivers behind the lines in 3, 2, 1, go.
We're going for qualification match number 43, maybe? No, wait, no, never mind. We'll be right back.
Take 2. Drivers behind the lines in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, let's try that one again. Qualification match 43 now underway. Free robots in a neutral zone now for as Tinkrex from the Blue Alliance makes their way to the neutral zone. They bump into 9450 just near the center line. Velociraptors makes their way unscathed towards their Red Alliance zone. 9430 as well for Red Alliance. That's C-Tech Robotics. They launch a volley of fuel into the Red Alliance hub. Some scoring for the Blue Alliance side as well. Our live score currently in favor of that Blue Alliance. They scored more fuel in Autonomous. They see those lights pulsing on that Blue Alliance hub. Then we're going to the Red Alliance side for this first Alliance-specific shift over on the left side of the field. With those bleeps and bloops, we've got our first shift on the go now. 9430 seats have a full load of fuel in their hopper. They're lining up trying to get the perfect angle on that hub to get all of that fuel processed through the hub. Meanwhile, all Free Blue Alliance robots working on getting fuel towards their side of the field. They got a stockpile along their rear Alliance wall over on the right side of the field. 8051 tank wrecks, they bring a whole hopper load of fuel imported directly to their side of the field as they enter their Alliance-specific shift. 25 seconds on the clock for the Blue Alliance. And now it's the Red Alliance's turn to get fuel out of the neutral zone towards their side. 9450 raining fuel all across Red Alliance side. Now they're building their own stockpile of their own as 4125 confidential for the Red Alliance in the red bumpers works to play defense, trying to stop, looks like Chaos Fury from scoring fuel out near that outpost. Once again, shift on over back to the Red Alliance side of the field as they work on scoring fuel into their hub. 9450 Velocity Raptors working their way underneath the tower. They make their way scoring fuel. They have no hoppers. They quickly intake fuel and shoot it directly into the top of that hub, scoring 1 point per piece of fuel, entering that hopper. Under a minute left to play in the match. The score is still in favor of the Blue Alliance. Both alliances have scored at least 240 fuel, so both alliances will be walking away with at least 1 ranking point. It looks like 4125 confidential of the Red Alliance now beached near that blue bump at the front side of the field. They're stuck and immobile for the moment, but I do see a flashing status light, so they could potentially regain control with the assistance of their alliance partner 9450. Velocity Raptors trying to get them off that fuel as they work on getting fuel towards their side. Under 30 seconds left to go with a little bit of help from Tank Rex. Will Confidential get off that piece of fuel? Tank Rex continue to work for the Blue Alliance, sweeping fuel underneath the Blue Alliance trench as both alliances work to score fuel in the final few seconds of the match. 15 seconds now on the clock. C-Tech scoring in the Red Alliance zone. Tank Rex as well, 8051. They're scoring. Chaos Series on a shopping trip looking for fuel in the neutral zone. They make their way back towards their home base. 3 seconds left as they make their way underneath the tower. And after a bit of a false start, we do finally have Qualification 43 in the books. We'll see what the final scores look like in just a moment. And without delay, scores of Qualification Match 43 have the green light from the head referee. Blue Alliance is your victor in Qualification Match 43. Final score 458 to 345, and the Blue Alliance does walk away with 5 ranking points.
Well, we're back up here at the sports desk, and I like to welcome back Evan Klein. Geez, that's not even a hard sentence. Good morning, Evan. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back, Josh. I'm glad to be here and happy to help.
It's great to be back at the desk, and that was an exciting match because going into that match, just running the numbers there, 5468 just needed 2 RP to break the giant tie at 7th place and move up now into another tie at 5th place. Our leaderboard continues to be extra spicy there. Go ahead and take a look at that. I think you had some thoughts on just kind of our evolution right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, you and Brett have been up here talking about this all day long. The ranking scores are ultimately how the position in our ranking board are decided, right? So in the match, you get 3 for winning the match. You're able to get 1 for the energized threshold, which we raised that up for the district championship, and then there's 1 for supercharge. And then, as we know, there is 1 more for traversal.
That one doesn't exist.
We've basically written that off at this event.
That's gone.
So there's only really 5 available, and that's why we're seeing bare metal at the top with 5. So remind me again which team we were looking at there that just moved around.
So that was Chaos Theory, just bumped up from 7th right here up to they're now in this tie at 5th place. Flaming Chickens and Spartronics, which is great company to be in. Also difficult company to be in, like being in a tie with some really powerhouse teams.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say.
Enough said, right? We'll go ahead and get the field reset and ready to go. 504 fuel needing to find new homes in midfield. And we'll be right back here at Northwest District Champs.
was very crisp. Welcome to Qualification 44. Let's take a look at the team. Starting off on the Red Alliance, we have Team 10,079.
From Buffalo Aerodynamics.
Joining them in the middle, driver station is Team 1540.
Out of Portland, the Flaming Chickens.
Also joining them on the red side of the field is Team 3663.
Also from Buffalo, Washington, CPR at Cedar Park Robotics.
And let's make our way over here to the blue side of the field, starting off with Team 492.
That's the Titan Robotics Club out of Bellevue.
Joining them in the middle driver station is Team 2811.
Vancouver, Washington, Stormbots.
And last but certainly not least, we have Team 9023.
From Sammamish, that's the Future Martians.
We have green light and thumbs up. Drivers behind the lines. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1, go.
Ready to go. Qualification match number 44. We were about to say at each other near the neutral zone. They all make their way back home to their respective alliance zones. Flaming Chicken scored from just on top of their alliance zone line. They score a hopper load of fuel in their red alliance hub, and they grab another load and make their way back to score some more. Future Martians and they're autonomous on this match on top of the ramp. They make their way now out and around in front of the front trench and scoring here in their Blue Alliance hub. You see the solid lights on that Blue Alliance hub, meaning they have the first Alliance-specific shift. It'll be their turn to score fuel and make up the admittedly narrow gap, 141 to 116, your current live score of 2 minutes to play in the match. Flaming Chickens launching fuel across their Red Alliance bump and trench, that sort of defensive pairing down that makes the line of their alliance zone, delineating their side of the field. Now they're on the active shift, so they'll have to work around the defense played by 2811, the Stormbots. And looks like 9020 Freaks like they joined the party. 2 Blue Alliance robots in the Red Alliance zone. 1540 trying to land some shots of fuel into their Red Alliance hub. 920 Free steals a load of fuel and they make their way back over to Red Alliance bump. They'll take that over back to their Blue Alliance side of the field to score in the Blue Alliance hub when their shift starts just now. Now it's Flaming Chickens back on pass as they make their way out to center. They're looking to grab some of that fuel output from that Blue Alliance hub and actually make their way towards the Blue Alliance zone, joining their other 2 Red Alliance partners and stealing fuel and playing defense. Trying to slow down that Blue Alliance that now has the slight lead by just 5 points. Stormbot's still out here in Red Alliance territory. They're preventing the Flaming Chickens from getting ready for their next shift. That shift begins now. Future Martians hopping the Red Alliance bump as well as they look to gather some of the stockpiled fuel. You see plenty of yellow fuel stored in the bottom left corner of the field by the human player trench. Future Martians wants to have a bite of that as they grab a hopper load of fuel and make their way back into center territory. Not much offense here. I see a full hopper from Flaming Chickens, but none of that fuel has made its way into the Red Alliance hub, but we'll see what happens as we enter endgame. Now Stormbots, they try to make their way out of Red Alliance territory, and Flaming Chickens still with that hopper load of fuel. They're working to get fuel, it appears, through that exchange to get to their human players. We see the only scoring of Red Alliance there from human players at the end of this match. Blue Alliance working away. Titan Robotics Club 492. They're scoring fuel from that Blue Alliance wall. 7 seconds left now on the clock. Aerodynamics, they hop over. They're on the defensive here in the final seconds of the match. Interesting strategies here in qualification match number 44. We'll see what our final scores have to offer. And scores now certified by our head referee. Blue Alliance with the victory in that match. Blue Alliance takes it away, 356 to 269 in qualification match number 44, with 4 ranking points to your Blue Alliance and 1 energized bonus to your Red Alliance.
Well, Evan, never a dull moment in these ones. And, we had a whole bunch of math before the match that we did about, like, okay, how are the leaderboards going to shake out? Because that one had 1540 coming in. Tied for 5th, needed 2 RP to move up, and then a bunch of other calculations about how they move around. And then parts flying everywhere on the field. How many parts did we end up with on that field? I don't quite remember, but there was the bar that fell off CPR at the beginning ended up kind of defining the shape of that match.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at that. We got the match replay here. As that plays through.
Yeah, and you're looking for this robot right down
there.
here. Not yet, though.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that lower side of the screen there.
So we saw there was an ordered placement before the match. That helped these alliances figure out, exactly what their flow and auto is going to be. Right here, though.
That first interaction, I think, probably started to get it loose. And then up here in a second, you're going to notice another interaction once the drivers take control. I believe it's Stormbots come from
it's the
somewhere.
Formidable
Yeah, there they are.
Stormbots defense. Actually, sorry, that's this robot over here.
So they're going to come over and they're going to join CPR right here under the trench in a second.
Boop.
And you'll notice that we start to lose a piece there. They go to pick up some fuel, and they're not able to do so. So, Josh, I was talking about that during while we were discussing during the match. That is typically what we refer to as a kicker bar. So that's lower on the intake, and that helps get the fuel kicked from the field up into the mechanism.
Is this just so I'm not pushing it around as I'm driving across the field and dragging
It's just, I think what it comes down to is the consistency of using your bumpers as the thing that gets the fuel going the way you want to is not as reliable as having an extra piece that goes down and is outside of the bumper, right?
Okay.
So you can only extend on one side of the robot. You do that with your intake, and then you have this extra little mechanism down there that helps kick the fuel up. Some intakes don't need that kicker at all. Some intakes work better with it, and in this case, we didn't let it play, but this robot, it doesn't work at all without it.
They had to pivot into a completely defensive role. And I will say very effective defense later on. They held the match score pretty much until, unfortunately, they lost power in the middle of the field. They held the match to a tie the rest of the way. But how, when you're building that, how do you make those types of mechanisms robust? Because I'm seeing basically some fragile aluminum held on by, I don't know, rivets and a prayer, right, on the front of the robot. How do you make something like that robust against, especially when you're up against heavy-hitting bots like Stormbots we've talked about all weekend, right? If they're driving at me, that is scary stuff, right? Like, they drive hard.
Yeah, I know that a lot of the teams, they focus on the compliant mechanisms. So you start making things out of polycarbs, that way they can bend out of the way. Or you start going to more exotic variants of aluminum. So you switch to 7075, things like that, aerospace grade aluminum, right? To try to get that extra little bit of strength you need in order to hold it together. And then it boils down to even the smallest little things, like your mechanical assembly team making sure they put Loctite on threads to make sure it holds it together.
That is a lot that goes into just what looks like such a small component, right? Like on the stream, you barely see it. It's like 10 pixels tall until it falls off in the middle of the field, right? But so much thought that has to go into that. And I will say props to CPR. We've learned from our FTAs, the only reason they were not continuing that defensive effort the rest of the way, battery fell out partway through, but still such a well-fought attempt to recover that match. And with that said, I think match 45 is just about ready to go. Jake, take it away.
We are ready to go here. Thank you, Josh. Let's meet the teams on the red side of the field, starting with team 4131.
They're from Liberty High School in Renton, Washington. That's the Iron Patriots.
Joining them is team 4450.
Variety of high schools, Olympia, Washington. That's the Olympia Robotics Federation.
I cannot do that with my hand yet. I'll work on it. Joining them is team 10991.
In their rookie season from Sandy High School in Sandy, Oregon, Pyobites.
And we'll make our way all the way over here to the Blue Alliance. I'm feeling like royalty for a second here, because up next is team 2522.
They're Royal Robotics from Linwood High School in Bothell, Washington.
Joining them is team 7034.
From Westland High School out of Oregon, to be determined.
Whew. It stinks over here. That's because it's team 1983.
They are Skunkworks Robotics out of Seattle.
our field is all ready to go here. That means drivers, take a step behind those white lines. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1, go.
Horn sounds on qualification match 45. We got a bit of a bump there between two robots, one red, one blue. That's Olympia Robotics Federation 4450 bumping into To Be Determined 7034 of the Blue Alliance. Fuel flies everywhere in the hubs, out of the field, various places. 4131, they're currently paused and they're autonomous just underneath the Red Alliance hub. My eye, it looks like Royal Robotics did ultimately make its way up off the carpet for that 15-point autonomous climb bonus. They were briefly hung up there on that low rung for a second, but now as we enter our first Alliance-specific shift for that Blue Alliance, they do ultimately free themselves. So all 3 Blue Alliance robots participating here in this offensive, or rather, 2 blue robots on the offense, 1 Blue Alliance robot, 1983 Skunkworks. They're now at center field, working on stealing fuel from the Red Alliance zone, and 1 ball launches out towards the head referee panel. Couple seconds left on that Blue Alliance shift. We make our way back to the Red Alliance side. They've got roughly 2 Red Alliance robots in that zone. That's Olympia Robotics Federation 4450 there with the hopper load of fuel. They line up near the center of their zone and score in the Red Alliance hub. Meanwhile, their alliance partner 4131, the Iron Patriots, they're out at center field interacting with 2 Blue Alliance robots. Looks like they're on the hunt for some extra fuel to add to their hub. They say hello to Blue Alliance's Skunkworks as the shift control changes once again. To Be Determined, 7034 lining up. They're near the bottom of their tower. Looks like that's where they're going to stay as they try to launch fuel in that Blue Alliance hub against the defense of those Iron Patriots, 4131. A flag waves near the center zone. We'll see what the referees have to say after the match. It's a bit of an interaction. There's some pushing and shoving by that rear red trench at 4450 ORF. Did briefly end up on 2 out of 4 of their wheels. Turns to the defense of Skunkworks at that Red Alliance bump, but all robots seem no worse for wear for the moment. Olympia Robotics Federation now letting loose with a hopper load of fuel in the Red Alliance hub. To Be Determined also letting loose some fuel. They're letting it go towards that Blue Alliance zone to prepare for their next shift, which will be our final endgame shift. There's the steam whistle now. 30 seconds left in the match as robots work to possibly climb. We saw at the end of Autonomous, Royal Robotics did end up in the air, so maybe we'll see that again. As it stands for the moment, all robots working on either gathering fuel or scoring it in the hubs. You got 10991, the Pilot Bites in their first season of FRC competition, scoring some fuel in the Red Alliance hub. To Be Determined out of Oregon for the Blue Alliance. They're up against the wall. They're next to their alliance partner, Royal Robotics, scoring fuel in the final seconds of the match. Referees needed some time to chat, but they do now have your final scores. Blue Alliance does ultimately win in the end, 271 to 221, only a 50-point difference, and solely free ranking points for that victory to your Blue Alliance.
All right, folks, and no fun strategy analysis on this one. We just got some bookkeeping to take care of. This is a note for all of y'all who parked anywhere but the upper lot. Remember that university is still in session today, and so folks actually have to park here to do their jobs, do their schoolwork, etc. So note from the venue, if you have parked in aisles, driveways, or other avenues that are not the upper parking lot, so just up the hill from this gym here, up the long stretch and into the parking lot behind Reese Court, we're going to need you to move your vehicles so that folks can still do school things. So remember, upper lot, only thing, and that's all we've got for this one. We'll be right back with our next qualification match.
Looks like all the fuel in the center of the field is all ready to go, which means it's time to introduce the teams in this next qualification match. Starting off in the Red Alliance with Team 997.
From Corvallis, Oregon, that's Spartan Robotics.
Joining them in the middle driver station is Team 4469.
They hail from Federal Way, Washington. That's RAID, or the Raider Artificial Intelligence Division.
In the third driver station on the red side of the field, we have Team 5937.
They're from Mercer Island, Washington. That's MI Robotics.
I sure hope this isn't important or from one of your robots. I'm going to keep this one. Let's go over to the blue side of the field, and we have Team 948.
From Bellevue, Washington, NRG, or the Newport Robotics Group.
Joining them in the middle driver station is Team 955.
Also from Corvallis, Oregon, Control C.
And last but certainly not least, we have Team 1778.
From Out Lake Terrace, Washington, that's Chill Out.
It looks like we have some thumbs up on the field here. Drivers behind the lines in 3, 2, 1, go.
Everything finally locked and loaded. We're ready to play qualification match 46. Four robots of varying alliance colors in this neutral zone. 4469 looks like got a little bit off center. Their team opts to A-stop their robot. They're going to be stopping the remainder of autonomous as they attempted to launch fuel not towards their desired direction. They want to keep that fuel towards their hub and not towards the center zone. 948 NRG, however, the robot Kirby, they do launch fuel successfully into their Blue Alliance hub. That's going to give them the advantage here in this match, 72-33 as we begin our teleoperated period. Our first Alliance-specific shift will be on the Red Alliance side. Raid Robotics 4469, the Radar Artificial Intelligence Division, they're working on human intelligence with their drivers at the controls, launching fuel from their hopper in the Red Alliance hub. They're backed up by their alliance partner, looks like that's 5937 MI Robotics. 99-7, it looks like they're having a little bit of trouble. That third member of the Red Alliance, Spartan Robotics, they're out by the Blue Alliance bumps as control shifts over to the Blue Alliance side. Over come the two Red Alliance robots looking to join them in their quest of stealing the most fuel. Raid going back home with a hopper load of fuel as NRG scores one load of fuel in that Blue Alliance hub. CV or Spartan Robotics continuing to try to navigate around. They're moving just a little bit, but fairly slow, so we'll see what happens. Our field crew takes a look at that. Something else to take a look at is this Red Alliance shift. We've got two Blue Alliance robots trying to play some defense against the Red Alliance. We've got Chill Out focusing or setting their sights on a 4469 Raid, and now 955 Control C. They're pushing up against MI. They've got them underneath the Red Alliance tower as they try to launch some fuel in the final seconds of that Alliance-specific shift. We hop on over back to the Blue Alliance side. Under a minute left to play. This is our final Alliance-specific shift with the Blue Alliance on this occasion. I see a belt at the center of the field. Hopefully Winter Robots doesn't need that. As Chill Out makes their way back underneath the Blue Alliance trench, they push some fuel towards the human players at the outpost to launch by hand in the Blue Alliance hub. Another hopper load of fuel let loose by NRG in the Blue Alliance hub as we hit under 30 seconds in our endgame period. Gotta be careful around these towers on both sides of the field now. Chill Out continuing to play defense. They're pushing up against Raid, Radar Artificial Intelligence Division. Raid finds a home at the Red Alliance tower, and with some contact there. That's gonna be a pretty interesting situation there. Red Alliance 4469, they're finding their home near their Red Alliance tower in the final seconds of the match. It's a little bit of a safer space to launch some fuel as the match comes to a close. And a thumbs up from our head referee. That means our scores are in. And in the end, it is a Blue Alliance victory. 392-285, your final tally. And all five, well, ignore the 6th ranking point there. 5 ranking points to your Blue Alliance, 1 for your red.
I will pull up the leaderboard and refresh it. Oh, wait, I don't have it.
All right, back up here at the sports desk, you know, we're watching the continued evolution of this one. I just lost the scoreboard up there, and our network up here is a little fussy, but, you know, Evan, it is really exciting to watch. 4.2, 4.0, 3.8, 3.6, that gets us as far as 10th. A very tightly contested leaderboard here where, looking at our calculations, you know, we're assuming 1 RP per match. That's not always a safe assumption, but at this point, like, fine. We'll assume an alliance is probably picking up 1. And with that, looking at this column on my screen, you all can't see it, but Evan can, lots of shakeups possible just based on the win-loss, because we're seeing a lot of 4 out of 6 in these up and down columns. What are you thinking as you're thinking of drive coaching something like this, or if you're thinking as more of a strategist, like what's going through your head when you're in that tightly clustered of a leaderboard?
I think I'll pitch more as a question to you, if you could help me work through understanding it. So on your screen, you've got a column that shows worst, you've got a column that shows best. So that takes into account the round that we're in. So what does that mean, right?
Yes,
so you
so
look at how many times robots have been on the field.
Yeah, so we're looking at the data of how far up and down can you go on the leaderboard, like what is possible. And right now, not a lot to discuss in that realm, right? At the very bottom of the leaderboard, we've got some folks who can't make it into the top 8. They're locked out of the top 8 already. But for the most part, our calculations early on are still showing everybody has a shot. Everybody except like the bottom 2 on the leaderboard has a shot of making the top 8, which tells me it's still extremely volatile.
I guess the question is where that comes in, right? So every team plays 12 matches. So we have 50 teams here, so it actually works out evenly. So there's no one that plays any extra rounds. That happens at some events, but at this one, everyone's playing exactly 12. Because 12 doesn't divide into 6, or because 50 doesn't divide into 6 very well, you end up getting bleed over every couple of rounds. But by the most part, I believe it's every 3 rounds, we've completely flushed through every single team. So, for example, I believe coming up we've got qualification match. Where are we? We
just wrapped up 46.
Yeah, so we're at 46. Coming up for 50, between 50 and 51. We're going from round 6 to round 7. So after match 50, all of the teams out on the field will have played 6 times.
Yeah, halfway point, and that's a really exciting place to be because the early matches kind of flush out, right? Like you can have some ups and downs early on, whatever, when we play so many matches. But really, once you hit that 7th and up, we're going to start seeing the bottom of the leaderboard move its way up. Like folks will be locked out of the top 8. They'll have room to still shuffle within that. But we'll also see the top start locking into spots. You know, like definitely we're going to keep our eyes on 2046. Are they going to clinch the #1 spot? Right now, it would take multiple 0 RP matches for them to move down, right? Like they're in a really great spot. I think it's going to be really exciting to see how the 2 through 10 section plays out.
But let's go ahead and head it back down to Jake on the field and meet our teams.
Thank you, Evan. Let's take a look at qualification number 47. And as per usual, let's start off on the Red Alliance, starting off with team 360.
They're from Tacoma, Washington, the Revolution.
Joining them is team 1595.
Right around here in Spokane, Washington, the Dragons.
And also joining them on the red side of the field, we have team 1318.
They're from Issaquah, Washington, the Issaquah Robotics Society.
Let's make our way all the way over here to the blue side of the field. No bolts this time, that's good. We have team 488.
They're from Seattle, Washington, Team Xbot.
Joining them is team 2471.
Out of Camas, Washington, Team Mean Machine.
Oh, I forgot the last 2 digits of this team. I'm gonna need your help with this one. It's team 44.
That's Team Shockwave from Hillsboro, Oregon.
We have thumbs up here on the field, which means it's time for drivers to step behind those white lines in 3, 2, 1, go.
We've got Alliance 88 here on the field on the blue line side, 488 and 4488 here playing qualification match 47. Both alliances scoring fuel quickly in the hubs for both red and blue. 1595, the Dragons working some final shots of fuel there for the Red Alliance in the hub as we reach our final seconds of autonomous. Now us navigating around the field here in match 47 as looks like we're going to be on our Red Alliance Civic shift. 360, they score some final fuel before all 3 Red Alliance robots exit their zone and gather fuel out in the neutral zone. They'll be facing off against Blue Alliance robots, also trying to steal fuel for themselves from the neutral zone for their own stockpile, as the FJ nearly is taken out by a piece of fuel at the scoring table. 360 Revolution from Tacoma, they grab some fuel, but they briefly have a pit stop over the ramp, or at the bump, before they launch that fuel towards their Red Alliance hub in the final seconds of that shift. We make our way back to the Blue Alliance side of the field. And now all the robot action over on that side of the field. On the right side by your Blue Alliance, IRS, they do stockpile just a little bit of fuel on the Red Alliance side in preparation for their next shift before they get stuck on the Blue Alliance bump at the front of the field. It's Red Alliance's turn to play, and 360 quickly races over to try to take advantage. They're joined by the Blue Alliance's 2471. That's Team Mean Machine out in the Red Alliance zone. 4488. Shockwave there trying to steal some fuel from just in front of the Red Alliance hub. And 488 Team Xbot, also the Blue Alliance. They swoop in to steal some fuel as well. Hopper load of fuel exported from the Red Alliance zone and into blue as we enter now their Alliance Pacific shift. 1595, the Dragons, they're focused on defense at the moment. Red Alliance, they're trying to push against Blue Alliance bots. First Mean Machine, now Shockwave at the Blue Alliance hub. We're in our final Alliance Pacific shift of the match. 40 seconds left on the clock. Once we hit 30 seconds, those towers will start to become protected. If any robot or if a Alliance robot contacts their own Alliance tower, they could potentially incur some penalties if another robot comes to contact them. Two Red Alliance robots working to score some additional fuel in the hub. They've got a little bit of a lead to catch up on. Blue Alliance currently in the lead, 332 to 236, so 15 seconds left to go on the clock. Two Red Alliance robots now finally in their zone. They've got just a little bit of a stockpile of fuel to work through as they try to get it through that hub. Any fuel not in that hub, not worth any points. Final seconds of the match. Blue Alliance with some final shots from 488 Team Xbot. We'll see what our final scores have to say after referee review. Scores now final for your Blue Alliance. 389 to 291, the final tally. 5 ranking points for that victory to your Blue Alliance, and Red Alliance also energized, 1 ranking point there.
Another exciting match in the books here at Northwest District Champs. And to queue up the next one of the teams that will meet in the next match out of Albany, Oregon, 957 Swarm. Kevin has done an interview with them in the pits. Hey, Kevin, take it away.
Over half of our robots 3D printed. Everything that's yellow on here is 3D printed. Half of all the black is 3D printed. So our intake is completely 3D printed with our intake wheels and our vectoring wheels. So these are all 6-inch custom wheels. They're all 3D printed out of TPU. All the yellow here is 3D printed out of TPU 95A, with the black being a mix of PET-G and 64D TPU. Then we move into our conveyor, which is TPU belts, which help guide the fuel into the kicker. And then our shooter, the hood, is completely 3D printed as well, with the pulleys and the ball path 3D printed as well.
So that obviously involves a lot of CAD work. So I know that you guys talked about earlier about how you CAD'd everything, and one of the nice ramifications of that is you're able to actually manufacture your own parts repeatably.
Yeah, so we have multiple spares of everything on the robot. So these are just one set of a giant tote that we have hidden under the table of just endless duplicates.
Thank you so much for showing this, Henry. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
It looks like we are just about ready on the field here to introduce our next set of teams. So let's take a look at the Red Alliance, starting off with team 4915.
In your 7th ranked position, that's Spartronics from Bainbridge High School.
Joining them in the middle driver's station is team 8248.
They're from Lincoln High School in Seattle. They chain the Lynx.
Also on the red side of the field, we have team 2521.
Out of Eugene, Oregon, that's CERT.
I said the Blue Alliance is still kind of getting ready over here, but we'll introduce them anyways. We got a powerhouse alliance over here, starting off with team 2910.
From Henry Jackson High School in Mill Creek, Washington, Jack in the Box.
Joining in the middle driver station, your current ranked number 1, it's team 2046.
They're up to Houma Senior High School in Maple Valley, Washington, Bare Metal.
And last but certainly not least, we have team 957.
Albany, Oregon, that Swarm. They are the South and West Albany Robotics Maniacs.
Gates up and locked, green light, thumbs up. Drivers behind the lines in 3, 2, 1, go.
Qualification match 48 underway. So it'll be a bit of a tough one for the Red Alliance. They're facing some formidable foes over on the other side, but they've still got plenty of opportunity. We've seen some awesome robot action from all 3 of these machines on the Red Alliance side as they work to score fuel in the hub. Blue Alliance surging ahead with almost double the score in the autonomous mode. That means that we'll be having a Red Alliance specific shift as our first shift of the match. Spartronics working away on getting their hopper load of fuel into the Red Alliance hub. Chain Links are out in a neutral zone trying to gather some fuel. And 2521 Cert also working to get some fuel as well. Now all 3 Alliance robots make their way out to the neutral zone to gather some more. As 957 the Swarm do try to grab some fuel and prepare for their next Alliance-specific shift. They've got that timing dialed in just right, and Jack in the Bot and Bare Metal both work to score plenty of fuel in that Blue Alliance hub. Another cascade of fuel from Bare Metal. Their various mechanisms working, moving back and forth, getting that fuel into their machine as the Red Alliance works to stockpile their next volleys of fuel in their Red Alliance zone. 4915 Spartronics, they work their way underneath the Red Alliance trench as they now score in that activated Red Alliance hub. Bare Metal pushes up against Chain Links. It's like Chain Links on the defensive here. That Red Alliance machine pushing against all 3 Blue Alliance robots here in the neutral zone. Just about a minute to play, and the Red Alliance trying to catch up. Blue Alliance has already set a pretty high bar, but Red Alliance not too far behind. Jack in the Bot along the front wall. They get ready and just in time for the Blue Alliance shift. They score yet another shower of fuel in that Blue Alliance hub. Jack in the Bot briefly on only a subset of their wheels after a small collision with 4915 Spartronics. Looks like a little part of Spartronics' hopper slightly bent out of shape. Either way, they're still working on getting fuel out to their Alliance side of the field. 30 seconds left now in the match. Both Alliance hubs active as the Blue Alliance continues to store more fuel into their zone. 650 and counting on the Blue Alliance side. Red Alliance doing their best. There's some awesome scoring as well for Red. Chain Links looks like their hopper also in a bit of an awkward position as they push up against Jack in the Bot near the Blue Alliance trench. 5 seconds left in the match. Jack in the Bot some final volleys into their Blue Alliance hub. 4915, the final arc of fuel. They do all they can to score in the Red hub. Score's now official. Blue Alliance victory in that match. The final score, a new event high score, and I believe a new P&W record. 797 to 260 free, no penalties on that match. A valiant effort from the Red Alliance earns them 1 ranking point for Energized, and the Blue Alliance walks away with 5 ranking points and a new P&W record.
What an interesting match, to say the least, to maybe undersell it a little bit there. 797 points. Evan, we were scribbling numbers here throughout that one. Based on our numbers, so please don't burn us at the stake if we missed one number here, but looks like 768 was the number to beat in quals at other events. At playoffs, we have to get into the 800s if we want a world record, but for quals, unpenalized, and that match was unpenalized, 768's at California, Sacramento. 797, higher than 768 last I checked, Evan. What are you thinking of that one?
Yeah, the prediction going into that, 516 to the Blue Alliance. We've got one match coming up later today that's showing a 595. So we do have one more shot. We've got plenty more shots, but we got one more shot that's looking possible. So we'll see how that turns out. But this one is a great place to start.
And if we look, actually, our match highlight that's kind of just running in the background here, like, I love watching this Blue Alliance cycle. I'm not sure we're going to actually get a chance to highlight it here, but this Blue Alliance cycle, at any given time, I watched the score go up by about 70 points per volley there. All 3 of those machines there, when you pair up Jack in the Bot, Bare Metal, Swarm, that was, I wonder if we were having fuel bounce out from just no room to put it anywhere, which is, to me, the highest level of this game that we've seen yet, when you're able to fully fill up that hub.
I'm still waiting for the hub to jam.
Don't say that out loud, dude. Down to the field we go.
Thank you, guys. I have a message for our neighbors. Ooh. Check 1, 2. Tests. Hello. Tests. Is that going up? I don't know, I can't hear myself. I'm good? Okay, cool. I have a certain message for our neighbors down south. California.
I swear, they're trying to censor me. California, we are coming for you. Pacific Northwest wants that #1 position for the 2nd year in a row. We are getting you. Let's hear it. Yeah, I think the crowd liked that one, wouldn't you say? Let's meet the teams on this next match. Starting off with the Red Alliance, we have Team 3674.
That's the Clover Bots. I don't have a mic anymore. That's the Clover Bots.
Joining them is Team 4089.
Stealth Robotics.
Also on the red side of the field, we have Team 8896.
Wolf Tech Robotics.
This is so scuffed. Chat, we're getting through it though. And on the blue side of the field, we have Team 753.
That's the High Desert Droids.
Joining them is Team 2374.
Jesuit Robotics.
And last but certainly not least, we have Team 10416.
The Radical Raccoons.
All right, we've got thumbs up. This is going to be a rather interesting switch over to you, Austin. But drivers behind the lines in 3, 2, 1, go.
We did it. Qualification match number 49 underway. As Free Red Alliance robots operate in autonomous, making their way towards the Red Alliance hub. 4089 Stealth Robotics scoring in that Red Alliance hub. various pieces of fuel making its way in. We've also got the part of the Blue Alliance at that top right quarter of the field just by the human players. It's going to be 23-74 Jesuit Robotics. They score a few pieces of fuel in the Blue Alliance hub as well. Red Alliance did ultimately take the advantage there in that autonomous mode. They've got roughly double the score at this point in time, but the Blue Alliance's turn is now to score in their Blue Alliance hub. As we say that, though, only one Blue Alliance robot currently in the offensive zone. As the 23-74 Jesuit Robotics continues to score in that Blue Alliance hub, Radical Raccoons, they line up as well. Looks like they're actually gathering some fuel in the neutral zone. Looking to contribute to their next shift. .489 Stealth Robotics. They're gathering some fuel over from the Red Alliance side. Up over the bump it goes. Navigating around the field is 489 Stealth Robotics. They bump into 23-74. That's Jesuit Robotics. All for Blue Alliance Robotics making their way into the Blue Alliance zone. And we're on a Blue Alliance shift again. 1:14 to play in the match. This is our second to last Alliance-specific shift. The Radical Raccoons lining up. They're trying to score some fuel in the Blue Alliance hub. 36-74 is Cloverbots. They're lining up looking for some fuel in the, or actually looking like they're more like playing defense over there in the Blue Alliance zone. They're navigating around there. Radical Raccoons hopping on over to Blue Alliance bump. In the neutral zone, they've got two Blue Alliance robots and a bit of a piece of plastic or something on the carpet. That's bucking up there. 23-74 Jesuit Robotics. They've got a bit of fuel in their grass. They make their way towards their side of the field with a full hopper load of fuel. Flags waving the Blue Alliance zone as we enter our final 30 seconds endgame period. Both Alliance hubs active. Red Alliance with some final pieces of fuel in the Red Alliance hub. Cloverbots, they gather some fuel in the red offensive zone. Fairly close live score with 14 seconds left on the board. Red Alliance continues to add fuel to their hub. 272 to 200, the current tally with 5 seconds left in the match. 3, 2, and 1, a final flag waves. Our live score is separated by some number of points there as teams celebrate and cheer, but we'll have to see what our referees have to say as they finalize the scores. Referee gives the thumbs up on the scores. It is, in the end, after discussion, a Blue Alliance victory. 332 to 214, the final tally. 4 ranking points energized, and the free for the win go to your Blue Alliance.
All right, let's do it again. Qualification number 50. That means we are officially halfway through our competition, well, through the qual specifically. So let's go ahead and meet the teams on the Red Alliance, starting with team 1425.
From Wilsonville, Oregon, error code 0.
Joining them in the middle driver station is team 2412.
From Sammamish High School, that's the Robo Totes.
I've been seeing everyone struggle with this intro, so let's see if I can get it right. Team 2926.
That's the Robo Sparks from Wapato Senior High School in Wapato, Washington.
Certified did not get that one right, but that's okay. We're gonna move over here to team 4512.
From Cascade High School in Everett, Washington, Otter Chaos.
Joining them is team 6696.
They're from Corbett High School in Corbett, Oregon, Cardinal Dynamics.
And last but certainly not least, we have team 2976.
They're from Sammamish, Washington, and Skyline High School. That is the Sparta Bots.
Thumbs up, green light, drivers behind the lines in 3, 2, 1, go.
Qualification match 50 underway. Error code 0 coasts along on top of some fuel for the Red Alliance, like they'll be stuck there for the moment until drivers take the controls. Robo Toads makes their way into the Red Alliance zone as well. They're joined by 2926, the Robo Sparks. Meanwhile, Blue Alliance working away as well. You got 2976, the Sparta Boss. They launch off one piece of fuel just as teleop begins. And it looks like the Blue Alliance did, however, end up in autonomous with the lead by roughly double the score at this point. So that means we have 2 minutes to play in the match, and we're on a Red Alliance Pacific shift. Robo Sparks working to score some fuel in the Red Alliance hub. They're quickly followed up by the Robo Totes, hosted the Sammamish District event with a hopper load of fuel. They recently did this robot for this event. It looks like one of those is a piece of our hopper missing with their sponsor panel. But regardless, we're back on the Blue Alliance side of the field now. Sparta Bots lining up. They bump into 2926, or rather 2926 bumps into them. The Robo Sparks on the defensive. Actually, all 3 Red Alliance robots in Blue Alliance territory trying to either steal fuel or do some physical defense. Either way, trying to limit the amount of scoring the Blue Alliance does on this shift. Final seconds now as we hop back over to the Red Alliance side of the field. And all 3 Red Alliance robots quickly race the length of the field. They end up back in the Red Alliance territory with all 3 Red Alliance robots attempting to score fuel. You got the Robo Sparks. They're lining up with the hub. They get crashed into by 2976, the Sparta Bots. And after that interaction, the Sparta Bots no longer moving. Our field crew would take a look at that. The Blue Alliance robot in Red Alliance territory. And as I say that, the Blue Alliance robot does continue to maneuver once again. They make their way out of the neutral zone in towards a risky position in the Blue Alliance hub. A piece of fuel lands outside of, several pieces of fuel actually roll out of the field. One of them actually hitting the fire extinguisher, knocking it over. That's the fire extinguisher update. So you got another match to play. 30 seconds left now on the clock. With both Alliance hubs now active. 2412, the Robo Totes lining up. We've got some final shots of fuel in the hub. Error code 0 as well with a hopper load of fuel. They're trying to make their way back in the Red Alliance territory under the watchful eye of 6696. Cardinal Dynamics preventing them from entering their zone. Error code 0 thinks they found a way on the rear bump. Cardinal says no, and they've got them stuck on that red bump for the final few seconds of the match. Sparta Bots, they're up in that zone. As the match expires, referees keeping a watchful eye on the situation in that corner. We'll be right back with your final scores after they probably discuss some things. Thumbs up from our head referee. Your scores are in. The Blue Alliance Alliance does ultimately walk away with the win here in a fairly tight match in the end, 327 to 308. Both alliances are energized, so the Blue Alliance earns the extra free ranking points for the win, moving Cardinal Dynamics up to 5th.
Evan, we have officially reached the halftime show, as it were. Now, we don't get halftime show kinds of time here, but we are halfway through our qualification matches, 50 in the books, and looking at this, it is still crazy contested. Number 1 rank, undisputed. And actually, if we go ahead and just look at this report, it is visually obvious how and why. Bare Metal dominating on the teleop estimated points added and the endgame estimated points added. But I actually want to see the next graph down. If you take a look at that, that kind of tells the same story viewed very differently. You can see how much of an outlier. If you hover over that circle right here, 293.4 estimated points added by just that team, showing why they're on top of the leaderboard. Then we have a two-way tie for second place, just behind, and that is between 2910 and 955. Just behind them, Chaos Theory in 4th, and then a huge set of ties for 5th, 7th, 9th, 11th, 14th, and 20th, which takes up the next like 25 spots. The fact that only 4 numbers are shown there kind of tells the story. That is that middle section right there. Evan, what are you seeing when you're watching these matches? You know, we're calling stuff out up here the whole time, like, wow, that's cool, that's cool. But what feeds into like this graph we're showing here? In your mind, like what robot capabilities are we really seeing dial up as we move along?
To me, it's all just consistency, right? I guess the base level is consistency. So is your robot showing up? Is it playing every match? Is it performing at the same level? And I think that really shows in the fact that these lines here, these ones that we brought up before we started talking here, are all completely flat. Like now you do see 2046 of a slight upward trend.
Right.
So that probably you could bear that down to gameplay or potentially small tweaks that they're making at this point of the season. I doubt it, but it's still always potential. But the consistency, I think,
it's really refining them. So it's drive team practice. It sounds like to you,
That's true.
And communications practice, perhaps. What was on the next tab here? We had another graph we wanted to take a real quick look at before we go back to the field. This shows the clustering of our teams for estimated points added again. On the x-axis there, it's teleop. And on the y-axis, it's auto and endgame. And you see the huge outliers are our teams with strong autonomous and strong endgame at the very end of the match. Bare Metal at the very top corner out there just dominating the entire pack. But then we notice this doesn't quite follow the trend of the leaderboard. We see Flaming Chickens very close to the top of this list. Chaos Theory very close to the top. 955 very close to the top. We're seeing these teams with excellent autonomous and excellent endgame starting to differentiate themselves. Looking forward to seeing if that reflects in the final leaderboard.
But we're heading into round 7, so we're going to go down to the field to eat the teams for qualification match number 51.
Let's see if this works. It doesn't work.
Well, good thing they gave me a backup mic this time, because this one doesn't work anymore. But let's meet the teams on the red side of the field, starting off with team 4125.
Washington Confidential.
Joining them is team 10991.
In their rookie season, the Pyobites.
And also joining them on the red side of the field, we have team 9023.
From Sammamish, Washington, they are the Future Martians.
Over to the blue side of the field. Little traffic jam over here. We've got team 4061.
A 4-H team from Pullman, Washington, the Cyborgs.
Joining them is team 4469.
They're from Federal Way, Washington. That's RAID, or the Raider Artificial Intelligence Division.
And last but certainly not least, we have team 1294.
They're from Sammamish, Washington. That is Pack of Parts.
We've got thumbs up. So let's get those drivers behind the lines in 3, 2, 1, go.
Our second half of qualification matches underway. 44-69, Ray, they end up launching some fuel towards the neutral zone. So that's where they're going to pause for their autonomous for now. Confidential out of Mutia, Oregon, 4125. They're going to be paused as well, just up near the red hub and the bump. Brief pause in the action as we transition between autonomous and teleop. And speaking of transition, the first few seconds or so of the teleop period is the transition shift. Both Alliance hubs active. But as we see the Blue Alliance hub now in control, as they have a little bit of catching up to do. Live score separated by only a few points, 58-45. And the Blue Alliance has the time to add more fuel to their stockpile in the Blue Alliance hub. Pack of Parts. Seems like we've normally seen them in a defensive role across the last couple of district events. But they actually score a few pieces of fuel of their own in that Blue Alliance hub during that shift. And then right at the tail end of that shift, we've got Raid, Artificial Intelligence Division. They're more the offensive robot in this alliance, to my knowledge, but they do score some fuel right at the end of that shift. Now it's Raid trying to steal some fuel. Pack of Parts doing some defense against the Martians, future Martians of the Red Alliance, attempting to score some fuel in the red hub. Pack of Parts bumps into 4125, and a few of their robot pieces jiggle around as they make their way back to the Blue Alliance zone, and back to go again, scoring fuel. They're joining their alliance partner once again, Raid, also trying to score fuel as 4061, the Cyborgs, are on a shopping trip out to gather fuel in the Red Alliance hub. They're passing it over to the neutral zone, it looks like. Plenty of collisions at center of field as the Red Alliance back on shift. Pack of Parts also back on the Red Alliance territory. They have their eyes set on the future Martians against the Red Alliance tower. Two Blue Alliance robots in Red Alliance territory. Red Alliance on the clock. Future Martians the only scoring robot at this point, but they do manage to let loose a hopper load of fuel in the Red Alliance hub. They are still currently in the lead, but the Blue Alliance will has some time to catch up. Under 30 seconds left to go in the match. We are in endgame with both Alliance hubs active, and they narrow that margin slightly. Pyobytes 10991, unfortunately not moving in the Blue Alliance zone. I see a flashing status light. Hopefully they can rejoin for these final seconds as Blue Alliance works to narrow the margin. In fact, Blue Alliance takes the lead. Will they manage to hold on to it in the final seconds of the match? 3, 2, final shots from Blue, 1. A last-minute lead change. Parts of robots on the field. What will our final score show? We'll find out in a moment. Does manage to hold on to that lead. It flips back and forth, but in the end, 245 to 198, the final tally. Your Blue Alliance does walk away with 4 ranking points, and 2 of those teams on the Alliance move upwards in the rankings, while Raid remains at 7th.
All right, it looks like our field is ready to go here. Let's meet the team. Starting off in the Red Alliance, we have Team 3218.
That's Panther Robotics.
I am not going to be able to do all of those numbers with one hand, but I'll try next time. Joining them is Team 5468.
That's Chaos Fury.
And on the audience side of the Red Alliance, we have Team 10,079.
Aerodynamics.
And let's go all the way over here to the Blue Alliance, where we have Team 4450.
That's the Olympia Robotics Federation.
It's another one of those things I definitely cannot do with my hand. Okay, joining them is Team 1595.
The Dragons.
And last but certainly not least, we have Team 955.
Control C.
We've got that thumbs up. Drivers behind the lines in 3, 2, 1, go.
We're underway here, qualification match 52. 2 Red Alliance robots launching fuel in the Red Hub. It's going to be Panther Robotics 3218, host of the Barney Lake District event, and Team 5468, Chaos Fury. Get hung up on the red trench just a little bit. And so they'll back away, and that's what I'll pause or autonomous for a moment. Blue Alliance working away in their autonomous as well, and they did score just a bit more fuel. I believe 18 more individual fuel cells in that Blue Alliance hub. That does mean that the Red Alliance will be first on shift. Here in this Alliance-specific shift, they've got about 25 seconds or maybe a little less now to score fuel in their hub, and fuel flies everywhere. Aerodynamics scoring fuel into the Red Alliance hub. They're quickly followed up by Chaos Fury, 5468. Some of your local excellent teams here. They're all excellent here at the Pacific Northwest District Championship. Got the best here. Panther Robotics, unfortunately, seems to have some sort of technical issue. We see a solid status light on their machine. That indicates that the robot is currently disabled and not connecting to their drivers. Hopefully the field crew can help them get reconnected and set back up for the remaining 1 minute and 25 seconds left of this match. 955, Control C, they do a quick ramp over some fuel in the neutral zone and make their way into Red Alliance territory as the Red Alliance goes on shift. Control C working to steal some of the fuel from that corner of the field, getting it out of Red Alliance territory. 1595, the Dragons, also the Blue Alliance, they're from Spokane, and they are working to possibly steal fuel, possibly do some defense. I saw them running into Red Alliance robots earlier. We'll see what happens as they make their way underneath the red tower and the Blue Alliance goes on shift. The other 2 Blue Alliance partners, Olympia Robotics Federation and Control C, both work on scoring fuel in that Blue Alliance hub, but Chaos Fury slinks in right behind. They look to add a little chaos to the mix as they steal some fuel, perhaps. Both Chaos Fury and Aerodynamics has a hopper load of fuel in their machine. They're getting ready for the end game period. That starts now. 30 seconds left on the clock as both alliances score fuel in active hubs. Barney Lake, fortunately, still out of action there in the middle of the field. The other 2 Blue Red Alliance members working hard to ferry fuel in the Red Alliance hub. Blue Alliance currently in the lead. They've hit the 400. Red Alliance not far behind with only 5 seconds left in the match. They're doing all they can to score fuel in the hub. A quick referee flag wave right at the end. And so we'll have to see what the referees have to say at the end of the match, or after the review. We've got a thumbs up from our head referee for our final scores. And the Blue Alliance is revealed by the race car as your victor, 432 to 375, the final tally, even after a few penalty points added by that referee discussion. 5 ranking points to your Blue Alliance.
Well, Evan, yet another match in the books here at Pacific Northwest District Championship. That one exciting in a leaderboard perspective because we had our number 3 ranked team, their 955 Control C, coming into that match facing off against number 4 seed Chaos Theory. Both of them with 4-win streaks coming into that match. One of those streaks had to end, and we see it is the Red Alliance streak on that one. But lots of other high-scoring matches predicted. We're looking at the StatBotics view over on your side over here, and am I seeing this right? No scores before lunch predicted to be below 400. Is that right?
Not on the winning side. That is particularly interesting. The thing that I was going to call out there is that this is our 3rd match in a row that StatBotics actually predicted incorrectly. Overall prediction correctness at this event is a lot lower than what I'm used to seeing in the 70s. I think that just tends to, they got this note up here about you control your own destiny, but that really plays out and is true at these kinds of events where it is up to team performance out on the field, and it's not just, you can't really rely on previous performance to predict future outcomes.
It is so volatile, and especially with, the one accuracy it is extremely confident on is traversal RP. It guarantees us we will not see that, and that really condenses the field. I mean, when you only have 5 out of 6 data points to work with, that definitely makes things a little bit more spicy. We've got, what is this, 3 more before lunch? We got 53, 54, 55, and then we'll break for lunch. I think we are just about ready to cue the next one up. Jake, take it away.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah, speaking of lunch, right before lunch, right after Qualification 55, there are a lot of seniors here. Some of you, this will be your last ever event. We are going to have a photo for you down here on the field. So right as Qual 55 goes ahead and wraps up, go ahead and send your seniors down to the field, and we'll get you a nice, lovely picture for you all. In the meantime, let's take a look at the teams on the field, starting off with Team 948.
From Newport High School as NRG, the Newport Robotics Group.
Joining them is Team 2521.
There's Certs from Eugene, Oregon.
This is really hard to do with a handheld mic. And also on the red side of the field, we have Team 2910.
From Henry M. Jackson High School, that is Jack in the Bot.
And over here on the blue side of the field, we have Team 8248.
They're from Lincoln High School, the Chain Links.
Joining them is Team 9450.
Out of Woodinville, Washington, the Velocity Raptors.
All the adults in the crowd, have you done your taxes? Because we have Team 1318.
They're coming for you. It's the IRS, the Issaquah Robotics Society from Issaquah, Washington.
Looks like we're just about ready here, waiting for a final thumbs up from our FTA. We all send some positive vibes to the field. Maybe 2910 can connect. All right, we have a thumbs up. Let's get those drivers behind the lines in 3, 2, 1, go.
Match 53 underway. Velociraptors versus Reblitz. Now Velociraptors versus Kirby, as two Red Alliance machines bump into Velociraptors as they make their way through the neutral zone along the center line. Both alliances quickly scoring fuel in the hub for both alliances. 3 seconds left in the match. A fairly tight scoring autonomous. We'll have to see which hub processes the most fuel. I said it was close. Looks like the Red Alliance had just a little bit more fuel to store in there. 73-40, your live score now in favor of the Red Alliance, which means the Blue Alliance will have the first turn at the active hub, but not before NRG and Jack in the Bot let loose some fuel into the Red Alliance hub. Some of that will probably count in the final seconds of that hub activation. They gotta work on some timing there, though. You gotta watch out for those illuminated hub lights to see when that hub will be worth 1 point per fuel. 25-21, Cert now is working on launching fuel in the general direction of the red side of the field. Ideally, probably not near the scoring table. We got our valiant volunteers keeping an eye out there, making sure that fun buttons don't get hit when we don't want them to be hit. And now fuel landing all the way out in the audience. Watch out. Fuel flying everywhere. We've got plenty of machines launching fuel, or at least capable of launching fuel all over the place. As our field crew works to clean up an aisle Cheney, I suppose. A248, the chain links, they're navigating the center of the field. They're joined by just a pile of robots, all 3 Red Alliance robots, as well as Blue Alliance's IRS. They're here to take your taxes and your fuel. Oil Future's looking pretty good on the Blue Alliance side of the field as they score some fuel in the Blue Alliance hub. That hub has 3 more seconds left on that activation before we make our way back to Red Alliance for their final activation. Jack in the Bot maybe a little early there to my eye, as they launch fuel even before the red lights activate on the hub. Speaking of that Red Alliance, Team 25-21 Cert with a solid status light. They are currently disconnected at center field. Our FTAs helping out there, trying to get them reconnected in the remaining 38 seconds of this match. 13-18, the IRS working to play some defense, and they escape out of the Red Alliance zone as we enter endgame. Now a second party member, a second robot has joined the disabled robot party. As A248, the chain links, now unfortunately unable to connect at the Blue Alliance, or 40 Blue Alliance at center field right next to Cert. The IRS looking for some final fuel to score in the hub. They're joining the opposite side of the field by NRG 948. They've got about half a little hopper fuel that they score in the Red Alliance hub as well. Robots navigating around the final second of the match. IRS and Jack in the Bot final shots in the hub. Our live score tells one story. We'll see what our referees have to say in just a second. Scores confirmed by our referee crew, so up on the big board in just a moment. Your Your final score goes to your Red Alliance. That is a Red Alliance victory, 465 to 267 in a valiant effort. Both alliances earned the Energized bonus, and the Red Alliance earns 4 more ranking points on top of that.
So Josh, during each match, there's 3 different zones on the field the fuel can be, right? They can be in the red zone, the neutral zone, which is in the middle, or the blue zone. This match in particular was really a master's class in positioning the fuel in a position where you can use it. Which robot do you think executed that the
Yeah,
most
we had to talk
correctly?
about the strategy eventually, right? Like, let's look at our match highlight, and we'll highlight 2910 Jack and the bot here for their strategic use of, like, just emptying out this neutral zone. So that's going to be this bot down here in the bottom left corner of the screen. And as we roll this forward, first of all, we got to, of course, just compliment the arc of fuel making its way in to the boiler there. But then from this spot here, just a constant barrage of fuel, up and over. We'll see this multiple times throughout this. Here comes another round of it once they get kind of spun around here. I'm pretty sure from the top. Nope, this was later on. But they'll pass it to themselves. They have this massive reserve of fuel waiting for them so that as soon as this hub turns red, with that time left, they're ready to go.
I think it's important to note it's actually before the hub turns red.
It is, by about a second or two, because they're just thinking in terms of all of this timing throughout the match. And then here we get another just great angle of the accuracy they have. Their alliance partners, of course, also doing some great work there. This
field.
Turn. Number Eve. Let's make our way over to the red side of the field with a notably all-Oregon alliance. Starting off with Team 1540.
From Portland, the Flaming Chickens.
Joining them is Team 997.
From Corvallis, Spartan Robotics.
And last but certainly not least, we have Team 753.
And from Bend, that's the High Desert Droids.
Sorry, a bit preoccupied with some AV stuff over here. Drivers behind the lines in 3, 2, 1, go.
The random matchmaker has given us a match of 5 of 6 teams from Oregon, the only outlier being Bare Metal 2046. To close the lack of deficit, they have taken the lead. 152 to 134, your live score. But just as fast as that lead was claimed, but either alliance could quickly retake it and score fuel quickly into their hub. 1540 to Flaming Chickens for the Blue Alliance. They make their way underneath the Blue Trench just in time for that Blue Alliance hub activation. 997 for the Blue Alliance is Spartan Robotics. They make their way out in the neutral zone. They say hello to a Red Alliance robot that looks to be maybe Chaos here. You can't quite tell the numbers from here. Nope, to be determined, actually. Chaos isn't even on the field, I don't. Medal from the Red Alliance scoring party. Medal from the Red Alliance scoring party. Red Alliance still currently in the lead, however, with under a minute left to play. It's the Blue Alliance's turn to try to narrow that margin as much as they can. You got Red Alliance robots in the blue zone collecting fuel to score on their shift. Bare Metal with a hopper load of fuel. They're trying to smuggle out of Blue Alliance territory. 753 High Desert Droids. They've got their collection of fuel. Now they're sped as we enter endgame. 30 seconds left in the match. Both Alliance hubs active to be determined. Quickly scoring fuel in the red hub. Flags wave out in center field. We'll have to see what our referees have to say at the end of the match once again. C-Tech Robotics, they're working on scoring fuel. Just next to them is to be determined. And at the front of the field is Bare Metal for the Red Alliance. Blue Alliance not far behind either. They're quickly scoring fuel as well. Chaos, or
Cancer is on the mind. Flaming Chickens with a hopper load of fuel. They don't manage, unfortunately, to score in the hub as the match comes to a close.
You are a senior, or if you know of a senior on your team that's going to try to hide or get to lunch early, make sure that it's longer to meet the teams for qualification match number 55 back down to the field.
Side of the field, we have team 4 side of the field. We have team 49-15.
Spartronics.
Joining them is team 45-12.
Otter Chaos.
And last, but certainly not least, we have team 24-71.
That is Team Mean Machine. Words are hard. 2976 to Sparta Boss. They're lining up. They've got some fuel in their hopper, and they're trying to find a spot. Trying to find just that perfect place to launch the Red Alliance, as well as the Raccoons, actually all free, hunting for fuel in the neutral zone. Otter Chaos, they bump briefly into the Raccoons. 45-12, the Blue Alliance's Otter Chaos, the only robot outside of their offensive zone during this shift. 2976 to Sparta Boss, doing some defense there against Spartronics in the final seconds of that shift. Now Spartronics returning the favor. They hop back over to the Red Alliance side of the field. They're pushing against 2976. Sparta Boss is an excellent catch from our field reset, folks, as they manage to catch some of the fuel that falls out of the field from a misfired shot from one of our robot players. Blue Alliance now on the clock in our final line-specific shift. Mean Machine peppers one of our referees with a pile of fuel. Now at F15, that is damaging contact with an opponent robot's frame perimeter. That is a yellow card to Team 45-12 for violation of Rule G415. With that said, we now have our scores. Result in that match is a Blue Alliance victory, 464 to 250, the final tally. 5 ranking points for the Blue Alliance. That in mind, we are now at lunch. If you are a high school senior, if you are graduating from the program, please make your way to the field now for our lovely senior photo. Otherwise, we'll be resuming matches. That is a 3-2-1 go at 1:50 p.m. Pacific time. 1:50 is when matches resume. Otherwise, have a great senior photo or have a great lunch.
All right, if you're here for the senior photo, I want you to come find me, Kevin Ross. I am over here. I'm over here. If you're a senior, come out here into the blue queuing area. All right, we're gonna let them clear the field. Oh my God, look at all of you people. You're all graduating? Bad news, we've decided to hold all of you back for 1 additional year. I hope you don't mind. Then you'll be eligible for next year. So in just a couple of minutes, all the seniors, come on over this way. In just a couple of minutes, we're gonna go out onto the field. They're currently resetting the field, but I wanted to clear out the walkway. Wow.